Hey there, folks. Want to hear something cool? Let me tell you about Switch. If you're fed up of repeats,
Alright guys, we should be live in just a second here. But yeah, it looks like the player's gonna have a bit of a delay, so yeah, be back when the game is live. Alright guys, welcome back to the ECS League. As always, my name is Hawker to bring you the action here, and we are starting the day with Heroic up against Fragsters. It's going to be a long day in the D-League today, as we've got 3 games going on, so we'll be sticking all through the evening. And we'll be starting with a little bit of a Danish matchup. Of course, there's a fair few Danish teams in this development league, so you're going to see a fair few of these Danish teams playing each other. But here we are starting the day with Heroic up against Fragsters. And I was just checking, the standings quickly, and I think Fragsters are sort of mid-table in a similar position to Heroic. However, that's a bit misleading because Heroic have only played 3 best-of-2s, whereas Fragsters themselves have played 5 best-of-2s. So I'll just quickly bring you through each team's record up until this point. Heroic have 1 win and 2 draws in the 2 series they've played so far, whereas Fragsters have 4 draws and 1 loss. So Fragsters, if they want to compete for those 2 spots to try and get themselves promoted to the ECS main league, will have to start to get some wins on the board. And this will be a good chance to do so. If they could, beat a team that's only slightly above them and overtake them, that would be a great opportunity for them. But when you're up against a team like Heroic, it's not going to be easy as we get underway into the pistol round here on Nuke. Already snappy with the Tech 9, and Kevlar is taken down so quickly as Torben sprays down 2 headshots early on. And the CTs just seem to be overwhelming them right now as Dragonfly finds a frag of his own. It's all up to Yugi with that Tech 9 he has recovered. And it seems like Fragsters are aware he's picked that up, and they are aware of his positioning. So this round is pretty much over unless Yugi can pull off the almost impossible, which seems very unlikely at this point. I like the idea from Heroic, but you know, you saw there, Torben just landed some really quick shots that made it so much more difficult to gain the ground they needed. And as soon as those kills come in, it's almost impossible. We'll see Yugi try to clean something up, but he gets dinked down to 7 HP, and it's almost certainly going to be him dropped any second now. Indeed, Frostlev finishes him off, and Fragsters take quite a clean pistol round victory in their favour. So strong start on the Fragsters side of things, and they will get a strong buy off the back of the pistol round going in their favour. And again, as I was saying, I don't mind the idea from Heroic. You know, dropping the Tech 9 over is always a decent option. But we'll have to see, you know, if they have sort of a depth of strategies for when they have the gun rounds. You know, I think on the pistol round, when you've got the Glocks, it's absolutely fine to just try and rush towards a position. This time, Fragsters land their shots, which is going to happen sometimes, and they'll have to deal with that accordingly here with just pistols in this round. Push comes through, but Stavin is up to the task for the time being as he gets 2 kills, although Heroic have got themselves down vents, so there is the possibility for a bomb plant if they are quick about it. But already you can see Fragsters seemingly quite ready and quite willing to rotate down to that B site and try and deny any possibility of that happening. Frostlev is the man who's actually playing on A, so I thought he'd rotated towards B, but it's actually Torben who's somewhat watching towards the site, but not particularly aggressively here. So Heroic might be able to at least salvage a bomb plant out of this round. Bomb crosses to the site and should be planted now, so Modi will happily gain some extra money for his team. The chance of winning the round is almost nothing, you would think. Although, as I say that, Snappy nearly catches Cyclone off guard, who goes for a jump to gain some information. And instead, Snappy replies with a quick kill of the CZ of his own. And that's forced Torben to come up here and try and isolate this player. He finally finds the headshot, but down to a 2-on-2 because elsewhere, another kill came through for the Heroic team. The smoke has come into the position of where both the players are playing. As Torben fakes the bomb, gets the headshot, and that should just about do it because Yugi is being forced away from the action, spraying through the door for the one headshot, but still the defuse comes through in the background. So despite a decent attempt from Heroic, they don't really get too much done at the end of it. Only the bomb plant, and all things considered, you know, nearly getting the round win there is certainly not a bad round for them. They will be quite happy with that, even though they didn't really get too much of an opportunity to win at the end there. They still get the bomb down, and more importantly, they have enough money now to commit to a force buy, which is quite a risk at the early stages here. But if they win this, that puts them in such a great position. So they've taken the gamble. Yugi has an AK. Esatag just down to a CZ because of that. I believe it was him who dropped the AK down, although no, actually Yugi could just afford it himself. So they've got the smokes lined up for outside. But that was a lot of their utility lined up just to get down towards Secret. And that might allow Torben to shut them down because there's no flashbang to deny him that peek. Finally, Esatag pushes through for the frag of his own. But here comes Stavin on the flank. Although he walks into the flames a little bit too early. And that's going to allow Modi to catch him in the back in reply. So after all is said and done, we're down to a 2-on-3. That's not going to be easy for Heroic, but it's a little bit more doable than you might have thought, considering how badly that started for them. The next kill now will be so important, because if Heroic do find it, that B site will be pretty much wide open, you would think. However, instead, Heroic will just sneak the bomb on towards the site and get the bomb planted here with 40 seconds left on the clock. And that will, of course, force Fragsters themselves to start to push aggressively. And Dragonfly might not feel too comfortable with that because he's only got a scout in his hands. And that's not going to be an easy gun to use at these sort of positions. First fight comes through, a bit of damage traded back and forth, but that allows Frostlev to capitalize upon the commotion and find himself a kill. Esatag trying to deny the defuse, but he doesn't know if the defuse is still coming. Another fake defuse comes in. Finally, Cyclone decides to stick it. Esatag finds the one kill, but he's been Molotoved away from the action. So again, good job from Fragsters on the retake, just to make sure they are in a strong enough position to deny any real chance of the diffuser being taken down. And again, Heroic, I don't mind the decision to force, but it's always going to be a gamble. And I think I'd have preferred it if they just decided not to take that risk, you know? I think Heroic are the favourites coming into this game. They should feel comfortable with their full gun rounds here on the T side of Nuke. Which, of course, on this new version of Nuke, it's much more easy to get T-side rounds because outside is so exploitable. So it looks like some smokes have gone towards outside from the terrorists, but a quick look at where they're positioned. They're actually coming back and moving back in towards the A area of the map by the looks of things, in towards lobby. So that might be Heroic setting the pace of that, even though there are sometimes smokes outside, they don't have to go for an A play all the time as the push comes out. Stavin finds 2, but he's surely going to get overwhelmed. He actually gets a 3rd before he goes down. And that was so good from Stavin because that could make a huge difference now. Fragsters are making sure they can try to get into position to deny the bomb, which is out in the open. But Heroic seem to just about have enough utility to slow things down. And more importantly, Modi has the aim to slow things down from Fragsters, because that kill will certainly make Cyclone think twice about this push. He's the man left in the 1-on-2, and now he's thrown out that incendiary. He's given away exactly where he is positioned, so Snappy swings out and secures the round win. Nice job again from Heroic. This time they get the buy to work out. You know, they've been piling on the pressure with these early aggressive buys. And round 4 is going to be the point where they get to break the Fragsters' side, because you can see the value of just winning one of these force buys. Instantly, Fragsters have to invest all their money into a buy that is questionable, to say the least. Smokes come towards outside. We saw this in the previous round, but Heroic showed us they don't have to go outside when these smokes come up. They can also go back round in towards the A site. Couple of nades thrown back and forth, but nothing too deciding just yet. Instead, Nico swinging out, finds that opening headshot. He has got some support, but Cyclone wasn't quite able to get the headshot quickly, but eventually finds that kill with the Deagle to get one back. So down to a 4-on-4. All things considered, Fragsters will be quite happy with that start. And oh my god, Nico reacts so quickly for that shot. There's nothing that you can really do against flicks that quick. Modi, in the meantime, was watching for any aggression in towards lobby by himself, and he does get 2 kills before he falls. Stavin at least recovers an AK, but you would think that Modi has done enough finding those 2 frags on that hold. And Fragsters, again, a valiant effort considering the lack of weaponry they really had. But in the end, I think Heroic were always going to be favoured in that fight, especially when you consider, you know, their favourites coming into the games today, and the fact that they had the superior weaponry. Yeah, it's not going to be easy for them to do anything at that point. So after a scrappy sort of brawl to start off this game, we're going to go back into a bit more sort of standard stuff here, with Fragsters just deciding to take this opportunity to go for a full eco pretty much. Couple of players buying up pistols, but other than that, almost no investment. And that should allow Heroic to clean this round up with ease, and already you can see that starting to happen. Looks like Fragsters decided to take a gamble here towards B with a few players, and that could have worked out. Unfortunately for them though, the superior weaponry will still prove its superiority, because they don't get really all that much done with the pistols, but again, I don't think they would have been expecting to. Now comes in round number 7, and this again could be quite an important round for both sides early on, because I think on this new version of Nuke, if you can't, you know, sort of build up that money early on, you really can start to become vulnerable, because the big question mark is certainly towards outside, where it's very difficult to actually sort of contend here. It seems like that won't be the issue in this round though, because you can already see Heroic going so quickly out through Squeaky. They're just going to hit this A site incredibly quickly, and Fragsters might not be ready for it, but Frostlev proves that he was prepared, finding 2 kills on the spray down. Again, good idea from Heroic to go for the quick plays, to mix some fast plays in there. But this time they just get shut down very, very quickly into the round. Snappy does at least find 1 headshot before his position is given away. But still, in a 1-on-3 with very little information in his control, wouldn't expect him to do too much. And if Cyclone swings out from this position at vents, he would almost guaranteed get that kill. Looks like Snappy making some fake noises, possibly to try and fake he's gone down vents, but you can see the vent has not been broken, so that's not really going to work. Instead, Fragsters will just sit back and wait for him to move aggressively. And it's a good idea from Fragsters, you know. The only issue is Dragonfly is a bit far away from the action with the AWP, so if Snappy could open things up towards the A site, then it would be difficult from that position. But you can see he's trying to find an angle. Finally gets the first kill, but you can see there, Snappy just has no idea where the other players are playing from. So that just allows Frostlev the easy kill in the back of the head towards the site. And it's just so difficult for Snappy to do anything in that, you know, position. Even though he has a few nades to work with, if he pulls out a nade, he risks just being caught off guard by a peek or something, which could happen. So I understand why he just tried to sort of sneak his way forward and find a frag, but not to be this time. Getting into round 8 already, Heroic seem to be somewhat focused towards outside, although not that much aggression just yet. You can see the players just kind of sitting back somewhat passively, whereas Fragsters themselves are happy to not hold outside all that much. You can see Cyclone is the one man sort of holding this position, and he's trying to play this off angle here on towards the stairs, which I'm not really a massive fan of, because I don't think this gives you all that much information, and you're just so exposed and out in the open. You know, even if Heroic don't check this position, he's just going to get instantly traded on a lot of the time, you would think. He does sneak his way back into a more standard spot in towards Hell. But already you can see Heroic have sort of got into advanced positions towards outside, and Fragsters don't have that much idea of where the Heroic players are. And that's why it's so difficult when you hold outside like this. Cyclone finally goes for a peek, and he was hoping he would get some support from his teammate in towards Heaven, but the timing wasn't quite right between them there. Especially with Torben only having a UMP, he was never really going to be able to help all that much. And now Heroic have free reign as to where they want to go. And you can see where Yugi wants to go. He wants to hit that A site as he gets that kill in towards Heaven. Elsewhere, Esatag finds a frag of his own. And now this is looking grim for Fragsters, as they just get decimated one by one on that A hold. They were even, you know, lined up really towards the bomb site, but you can see the sort of troubles of you know, giving up outside that easily. You know, the player comes in flanking towards Heaven, and then you just have so many angles to deal with while trying to hold on towards that A site. And Fragsters seem to be the ones now on the back foot. After quite a strong start, they lose to that force buy of Heroic that really sort of set them back. And that might just continue here, because again their money is sort of dwindling. They only have pistols alongside a single UMP in this round. There goes Modi, finding the head of a few Danish players, although the Swede himself will go down before Snappy finds the trade with that MAC-10 and recovers the AK himself. Of course, Modi is the one kind of, you know, fake Dane on the server, I guess. You know, the one Swedish guy mixing it up with the Danish teams. Almost like a spy intruding their ranks. Pom-Pom will come down, but Yugi had no real cover there from that position, which is a little bit surprising. Considering how many players Heroic have left, you would think they would be able to watch towards that spot. They do close things out eventually, and the AWP should be recovered towards the site, but a little bit worrying that Heroic weren't ready to watch that. And Heroic will have themselves their first lead here, and again, in these recent rounds, in these sort of full gun rounds that Heroic have had, they've looked very, very convincing so far. The one gun round that Heroic have had that they didn't win was that time they decided to try and go for that quick A play. And I don't even mind that decision too much, because they had plenty of money to work with. You know, the risk wasn't that high of going for a quick A play. The risk is if they lose the round, then they just get another buy into the next one and they can go for a more standard play. But the reward is kind of the fact that now Fragsters have to be, you know, at least slightly worried about the fact that Heroic have proven they are willing to go for some fast plays into the A site early into the round. So now the Fragsters players have to be aware of that and have to use nades early on to slow that down. Gonna see Snappy just go in with the MAC-10. Oh, that gun is so fun to use, and Snappy is proving it as he gets a 4th kill, whipping out the Glock to secure that frag. And you've got to give him the ace at this point. I mean, Cyclone isn't really in the greatest of positions here. Yugi ends up stealing it away with the CZ, but I'm sure Snappy will be more than happy with the 4 kills. I just rhymed. Didn't even realize. Snappy is happy. So we're already heading into the latter stages of this first half. And Fragsters have yet to really have a response to this outside aggression, so it seems like Heroic are happy to just kind of continue to do it. You can see here these windows being broken above the A site because you can line up some nades to go in over the top. And Snappy might just do that as he's got a flash in his hands. And actually, Heroic this time are not focused towards outside like they have been so often. Instead, it's looking likely they're going to go for an A play, and here we go, the push comes forward. S-Attack doesn't win that opening duel, but Stavin was out in the open, so he was always going to be exposed from too many positions. In the meantime, the trades go back and forth, but again, they are in favour of Heroic. Bomb goes down, and Fragsters are stuck behind not only a smoke there in towards Mini, but also Snappy himself has another one he can throw towards that angle if he's a bit worried of it. And that would almost guarantee the round win, you would think. Both players here positioned towards the same angle, but as Yugi misses the shot, that could be the opening that Fragsters needed, because this becomes so much more winnable now in a 2v2. Here comes the smoke towards the bomb, and Torben spots out both opponents and takes them down. With the defuse kit in his hands, he will have plenty of time to get this defuse off, and Fragsters finally win their first round. It didn't exactly feel convincing from Fragsters there, having to clutch from a 2 versus 3. And leaving it up to Torben there in a 1-on-2, but they did get the information they needed. And again, they somewhat relied on that missed shot from Yugi, but finally they get their way into this game. They win a gun round, and maybe that's the start that Fragsters needed to really sort of build some momentum here towards the end of this half. We are going to see Yugi try to go for some aggression, again with the AWP in his hands, because of course Heroic have plenty of cash to splash around. Although they're going to have to be a little careful, because, you know, their money is starting to slowly drop a little bit with having to rebuy these guns. So the push has come out towards ramp, and you can see Torben playing it very passively, playing it a bit cautiously, deciding to just back off. And I don't mind that decision. The only risk is that someone else from his team has to respond to help him out. Otherwise, he could be in trouble. And already we see that come to actuality as he goes down after only finding 1 kill. And more importantly, when you play it that passively, you can see how quickly Heroic can just get to that B site. And that's why he needed at least 1 player supporting him. Because now the rest of Fragsters are really just sort of scrambling to try and get back in position. And it's always them really going to be on the back foot, you have to feel. In comes Snappy. Great timing there, but actually Dragonfly gets a shot with the AWP in reply before he can fall. Looks like it won't be enough, though, to prompt Fragsters to attempt the retake, because they've realised the time has just ticked down too far. They're going to go and save what they can. And a quick look at the scoreboard, because we haven't really looked at it too much up until this point. You can see Snappy up there towards the top. He has been mopping up a few anti-eco kills, but certainly still deserved with a few nice gun rounds. In the meantime, I guess on the Fragster side, the one player disappointing a little bit would have to be Dragonfly. Mainly because, as well, they're investing heavily in towards him. You know, they're buying up this AWP, which is not cheap on the CT side. So if they're going to invest this much into him, you know, while Stavin has a deagle, he needs to be having a little bit of a better game. And he's going to try and hold off towards outside this time, which has been an issue in the previous rounds. Let's see where Dragonfly plays. This is an interesting angle. He's going to go in towards Secret early on. And they might not expect him to be positioned there, because oftentimes this is a spot where it takes a while to get to. And already you can see Yugi was not aware that that position could be where Dragonfly was playing from as he goes down early into the round. And here comes Dragonfly lining it up on the edge of the smoke. So well played there from him. Well-timed aggression to get himself the perfect angle for the kill. Oh, S-Attack though, in reply with the well-placed Molotov, forces him out into the open and gets the trade frag back. But still, Dragonfly has done his job. because he's given his team the advantage, and they will look to press that off the back of Cyclone's further frag. And again, Modi fairly often is the more passive player on the heroic side, sort of trying to clutch it for his team, but when you leave him in a 1-on-3, feels like it's quite a lot to ask from him. Let's see what the Swede can do as he tries to take the opening fight. He's actually snuck his way forwards, but doesn't get the angle quite right. So Cyclone will finish him off. And Heroic will keep their slight lead, but these recent rounds have been going in favour of Fragsters, and a few of the Fragsters players have started to sort of step up individually in these recent rounds. Now, we just saw Torben win that clutch in the previous one. Now this time Dragonfly, who I was just sort of questioning a little bit himself, proves that he is up to the task by finding 3 kills towards outside and really making a huge difference. And if that can continue for Fragsters into the T half, where you have more freedom to make your individual plays, then that could be a very positive sign for them heading into the second half. Even though, you know, the end of this first half hasn't been great for them, still feels like heading into their T side, they might have some chances still. So both Dragonfly and Yugi not being able to afford AWPs for themselves in this round, showing you that the money is somewhat lacking on either side, but Nico probably could have got away with dropping an AWP for his teammate if they really wanted it. So it seems like Heroic are quite happy to go with 5 AKs when they need to. And I don't mind that, because again, when there's not really too much outside presence from Fragsters, that AWP becomes so much less impactful. Because you can see they take outside quite easily, and now as they push towards the B site, you don't really want an AWP trying to take these positions. So instead they will just stick it with the 5 AKs and try to get their way on towards the bomb site. Savin though will look to deny that as he comes rotating down through the vents. The bomb is planted, but at what cost? Because already Fragsters are finding the kills all across the board. This is just a complete decimation after the bomb goes down. It's only Yugi left. He looks for the 1 kill. The spray down is good, but still 4 more players to find, and he won't find any of them because Frostlev pushes on the other side. So heading into round 15, one of these teams will take the slight edge heading into the second half in this final round, but it will only be an 8-7 lead either way, so certainly nothing all that convincing. And I think on this new version of Nuke, you know, an 8-7 half in favour of the CTs, maybe a 9-6 half would be what you were sort of aiming for. So I think Fragsters, you know, they're going to be okay with the position they are in, but considering how it started for them with that pistol round win, and with Heroic losing a few force buys, you might have hoped that Fragsters would have been able to get out to a stronger lead and then sort of hold on to that. However, all things considered, I don't think they'll be too disappointed with how it's gone so far. We will see Esatag getting his way up on towards Silo. I've heard this the position there be called so many different things. But enough about that, because the round is already playing out. Dragonfly gets a kill in the back on the aggression towards ramp. We've very rarely seen aggression from Fragsters, but they try it out this round, and it works out incredibly for them. The Cyclone himself, playing a sneaky beaky position over towards outside, gets himself 2 kills, and pretty much secures this round. But yeah, the silo position there that Snappy just looked at, you know, I hear that be called, like, silo. I've heard people call it, like, Twinkie and, like, marshmallow. Like, there's just so many things you can call it. It's great. I mean, it can be a bit confusing if you get different call-outs, but, you know, something you have to live with. You have to adapt, I guess. Anyway, enough on the tangents. 8-7 at the half. And Fragsters, all things considered, recovered quite well there. You know, after Heroic really looked like they might just steamroll that first half towards the end there, Fragsters managed to step up in the last few rounds. Specifically, Dragonfly really started to, get a few rounds where he was finding some kills. And you saw what difference that made when he was finding the opening frags with that AWP. It makes it so much more easy to hold off as the push comes towards the site. Either way, we're going to have to get into the pistol round here because already you can see Fragsters have brought up 2 sets of nades, which isn't something you see all that often. And it looks like they're going to line up an A play with a fair few flashes over the top. A quick look at the map and you can see a few players already in position, but Snappy might just get smoked off as well as ESCS. So that's going to make things very difficult as Nico is kind of isolated towards the site with little support. But Fragsters have to go soon here because the smoke is going to fade. Finally, they will push towards the site. And here we go. They're going to go for the entries and Staven goes for a bit of a strange jump, but eventually gets that kill. Yugi, in the meantime, did get 2 frags rotating over towards Heaven, and the players towards the site are just sitting ducks right now. It's only Dragonfly left trying to find some long-range fights with the Glock, but he does get a quick headshot before going down low. So that brings us down to a 1 versus 1. Modi has snuck into a position where he might just not be expected, and that is indeed the case. And I kind of have to question the play a little bit from Fragsters there. Like, I don't mind the idea. Again, buying up those flashes over the top and the smoke to go in and pushing towards the bomb site's a pretty good idea, I think. But the thing that happened was the smoke came up so much more quickly than the rest of the players pushing out. You saw the smoke come in towards this position, and then sort of a 5 or 10 second wait where Heroic had plenty of time to realize what was about to happen and then sort of, react accordingly. And you kind of saw that come true because Heroic themselves rotated players, I think, from outside back up towards Heaven. And there were like 2 or 3 players just raining fire down from Heaven. Not quite actual fire, but, bullets at least. It's a commentator's job to over-dramatize things a little bit. Torben goes down low. I think he took some damage earlier, and that nade will compound on towards that. Instead, it looks like the push came quickly towards A, but it's not going to lead to anything, as Torben is the last man left, sneaking over towards outside, but doesn't really hold his nerve as he fires his shot a little bit too quickly before lining it up, allowing ESCS to finish him off. So 9-8 in favour of Heroic, and, if you look at this, you might think to yourself it's a bit of a toss-up, it could still go either way. But I still feel like Heroic have just shown themselves to be superior for the most part. In comes the spray down, shutting out that push quickly, as ESCS himself finds a kill towards outside. Frostlev has actually managed to sneak his way in towards ramp, so I think he's going to be hoping that someone from Heroic strays a bit too far from the rest of his team. Have a quick look at the map, and Heroic, they're sort of sticking together, but you'd like to see them sort of, almost play as like a pack, right? Just stick completely together and make sure there's no chance that Frostlev can even think about recovering a gun. I guess at the same time, Modi and Snappy aren't really too worried about going down. They don't really care about losing their UMPs, and Yugi himself isn't that bothered about losing a scout. I wouldn't be surprised if they're okay with losing these guns. It's mainly the 2 rifles that they're going to want to make sure are playing as safe as possible. And that seems to be the case. Looks like Frostlev snuck his way in towards Hell, but it's not going to lead to too much because now his position is known. And Yugi shows he knows it with a headshot. So Heroic break the double-digit barrier first. But there's still a little bit longer for them to go just yet. We don't play to 10 in Counter-Strike, we play to 16, of course. Unless overtimes happen, which always, always a little bit of fun, always a little bit different. Ooh, Pete comes towards outside, and wait, no, it was actually in towards vents that Dragonfly found that opening kill. Sorry, over towards Squeaky. He found a gap in the door, I guess, after opening it up. And that must have been a really tight shot from him to get that opening frag. You can see Heroic did keep a couple of their weaker weapons, Modi with the UMP, but they will still be hoping to win this round considering how much investment they've put in towards Yugi and his AWP. Goes for that opening shot, but I think he got unfortunate there in terms of the shot slightly going through the edge of a wall. So Torben manages to survive on just 2 HP, and he can count his lucky stars that he is not a dead man right now. Elsewhere, the bomb is inching its way forwards towards a ramp. One of the players holding is Modi, but the timing is so awful. He's still well positioned to get back to cover, but he has to give up ramp room due to that awful timing of him pulling out the nade there. However, again, good to see that he was prepared for that eventuality by falling back and allowing his teammates to rotate down to B, one of them being Snappy with a M4 to get the opening kill. And that might just shut things down, although Stavin actually gets a kill back. The nade from Snappy, though, was so well placed. Stavin goes down. And as the bomb is planted, it's up to Frostlev to get 2 and 3 kills from the site. Someone needs to get that from his perspective, because those must have been some insanely quick headshots. I thought that Fragsters were going to be in a huge amount of trouble there, because you saw both players' health was so incredibly low. But out of nowhere, Frostlev finds a flurry of frags, and Fragsters win this first gun round and really put themselves on the map. Awesome clutch there from Frostlev. And maybe that could be the catalyst for the comeback for Fragsters. They're not exactly that far down, only down 1 round now. Here comes the push towards outside, and this game is starting to heat up. And I'm not just saying that because the incendiary was thrown. It's really starting to get close. Yugi's still able to afford the AWP. So maybe that could be the key difference, but you can see there's not going to be really any aggression towards outside, and he's having to reposition down towards the B sites. And again, the AWP is quite difficult to use here towards B, because fairly often the Fragsters players will be holding semi-close range angles. And I didn't really see how Fragsters got down to the B site so quickly, but Heroic was certainly not ready for it themselves. It's almost like I got caught off guard as much as they did, as they were not positioned well for this B site take. And I would think that Heroic at this point, unless they get a quick kill or maybe a second quick kill, will just go for the save. And already you can see Fragsters are ready and hoping for that, because they will happily want to bring it back to a 10-10 scoreline. Again, a quick look at the money either way, and remember, Heroic have saved their 4 guns here. You can see the players on the map playing very safe. So they have got not that much money, but they're not going to need it particularly. It's mainly Modi who needs to buy up for himself, and he is just about going to buy up a FAMAS as well as some Kevlar. So he will be fine, and we will head into another gun round that becomes really quite important. You know, it's actually Fragsters themselves that, off the back of these 2 gun rounds won, will have a little bit of a cushion in terms of money in the bank. Push comes quickly, but Nico catches them off guard from this nice off angle up on towards Hut. And this is such a strong position to play, and you can see why. Nico can just look towards both angles incredibly quickly and help his teammates towards the site. And he was set up so well to find those kills. And again, just as it looks like Fragsters are going to get themselves back into this game, you have to feel like Heroic, for the most part, are still sort of on top. And for the most part, it feels like the rounds that Heroic are winning are much more reproducible and much more sort of solid, you know? Damn, you bet $800 on Heroic? Whew. What happens if it ends 1-1? Do you just get the get your bet back? Should probably be pretty safe then, to be fair. But yeah, I would not have the balls to do that. Fair play to you. Hope it goes well. Again, from what we've been seeing, you know, when Fragsters have been winning rounds, you know, sometimes it's just been individual plays, individual brilliance. And I think that can only take you so far, you know? We saw that round where Frostlev got that 6-3k, you know, that's not going to happen every single time. And already you can see again, Heroic finding the opening picks. One for Yugi, one for Esatag. Dragonfly towards outside, looking to at least salvage a kill back. But they will just have to keep their two-man disadvantage for the time being, because ESATAG is more than happy to play it as safe as possible. And I'm not exactly sure where the bomb is dropped there, but I think it's up towards outside, up towards those rafters. So as Yugi finds another kill, he is in a great spot to just hold down this bomb and make sure Fragsters can't really do anything in this one, as Cyclone gets his head blasted off by Yugi at long range. See Stavin hoping to get some lucky pre-fires, but again, he is all by himself, and Yugi might just shut him down at the end, but Stavin finds a headshot quickly himself. Again, Fragsters have been hitting some pretty insane shots, but for the most part, Heroics seem to be able to get those opening kills that really make the rounds so much easier. You know, the first kill in the round makes you have such a big advantage, especially when you're holding on the CT side. I really do believe that, you know. That's why I really sort of rate AWPers that can get the first kills fairly often, because it makes the rest of the round so much easier for the rest of the team to play. We're going to see the quick aggression with just the pistols from Fragsters, but this round should be over relatively quickly. Out comes the nade. Frostlev takes a chunk of damage from that one. Cyclone going to sneak his way in from the back, and Snappy was not aware that that could even be a possibility as he went down. Luckily for the rest of Heroic, they will be able to win their duels. So only one player caught off guard, as Torben, the last man left, shouldn't really do anything here. Looks like he might try and sneak his way down vents, and this could be a bomb plant because there's no real presence towards B. Ooh, the KZ is slightly off. He doesn't make the jump. And that's going to slow him down just by that little bit that made him feel not that comfortable getting towards the bomb site. So not going to matter for too much in the grand scheme of things, because Fragsters can still get a buy for themselves here with decent enough nades and weaponry. As you can see, the buys come through. And it looks like Heroic themselves have actually decided to take a tactical timeout right now. Again, this is always a good opportunity to take a quick recap of the scoreboard, and Snappy continues to lead the way for Heroic, up there at 23 kills. And Yugi certainly, in these sort of recent rounds, has been, you know, when he's had that AWP at least, it seems like he's been fairly good with that, but he's not really been able to get the AWP all that often in that first half. And here in the second half, there's been a fair few anti-ecos where he hasn't really been able to, you know, get that AWP rolling all that often. But he's got the AWP here, and that could be the critical difference, because Fragsters themselves are stuck with 5 AKs. So if he can find some aggression or some long-range angles to play, then that could be a real advantage for Heroic in this all-important round number 24. I really can't stress the importance of this round enough. You know, if Fragsters lose this, it's really hard to see them getting back into this one, because their money is so poor. So this round now for Fragsters is vital, and they're going to go for some quick aggression, but Modi is shutting it down! 4 headshots with the AK, and this round is done. In such a key round, Modi just decides to win it for his team. What a sick play that was. Those first 2 shots through the smoke were insane, and Modi just kept going. You try and go for a quick play, and Modi just says no. Really, really sick play. And now you can see what the consequences of that are. Fragsters themselves just have pistols in this round. It feels like Heroic at this point might just be able to cruise their way to victory in this first map. Just as I say that though, the pistols actually get a few opening kills. Modi himself has found one over towards ramp, and Yugi rattles off shots towards outside, landing shot after shot as he gets 2 kills. Looks like the players have managed to sort of get past his vision, and that's allowed Frostlev to pick up an M4 for himself. But Yugi is certainly not going to like that, as he gets a 3rd on the round. And again, Yugi is just not missing right now. He might miss this one though, because Frostlev will catch him off guard in the back to get 1 kill in reply. But as he comes up through heaven, Nico is in the perfect position to shut him down and shut Fragsters' chances down of getting this win in regulation, because Heroic have their 15th round on the board. again, got to give props for Modi for that round number 24, I believe it was, where he just went huge. You know, that was such an important round, and he just held his nerve. It didn't even look like he was worried, just tapping off the heads with that AK he had picked up from a previous round. And that's why you don't give AKs to the counter-terrorists, because they can do work with them. We will still see Fragsters with a buy, of course. But S-Attack denies at least the first opponent before the trade comes through. Again, though, Yugi is happy to AWP over towards outside, and that's making a huge difference because he's able to shut these few players down fairly often. And I really think that Yugi stepped up quite well in this second half and done his job. Either way, the Fragsters, with a minute left on the clock, still have to go for some sort of a push to try and keep themselves alive here on this first map. Remember, this map was picked by Heroic, and Train will be up next, so Fragsters won't be feeling too disheartened. But I'm sure they won't be thinking about Train just yet, because Nuke is still ripe for the taking if they could win this round. And after getting in towards vent, Stavin sneaks his way up towards A. And that allows him to get that opening kill as Nico's body goes falling down to the ground. They're going to try and rotate their way over, but Heroic had no presence towards the A site there. And that's the advantage of being able to go through those vents and having control of vents so easily, because they can just quickly switch towards the site and find the weakness. Here comes Modi with a few nades to use, but instead he just opens up so quickly with the headshot. Yugi finds one of his own and it's all up to Stavin, but Modi just decides to win it for his team. Really nice headshots coming in by the AK as Heroic secure this first map 16-10 on Nuke. So Heroic win their own map pick in this best of 2, but we still have to play Train that Fragsters chose themselves. So make sure to come back for that second map, because Fragsters certainly put up a fair fight and had some really nice individual plays that, if they could carry through in towards Train, would be good to see. You know, they could certainly still put up a good fight or possibly even take the win. I would like to see Dragonfly certainly step up on Train. You know, he didn't have a particularly good game here, and we all know how important those AWPers can be on Train. So make sure to come back for that. We'll get to see if Dragonfly can improve his performance. And other than that, yeah, if you enjoyed, again, you can always subscribe here if you want to see more of my casting. I'm Hawker, by the way. Hello. Good to have all these people watching. And other than that, yeah, I will be right back as soon as the second map is ready. Alright guys, welcome back to the ECS League. We are back for the second map here of Fragsters versus Heroic. As always, my name is Hawker, at Hawker_CS. Gotta plug the Twitter, as always. But yeah, first map went in favour of Heroic. I think all things considered, it was their own map pick, of course, back on Nuke. They won it 16-10, but it still felt like Heroic were looking quite convincing there. And, you know, from what I saw at least, for me, it kind of felt like Fragsters, when they were winning rounds, it was more off the back of sort of individual plays and sort of really sort of high individual skill, rather than sort of, you know, good tactical play, good team play, and sort of rounds that were more repeatable. So I think that means that, you know, for me, Fragsters kind of have a lot of like variance in how they could perform. You know, if they all show up on the day, I guess they could just completely destroy. But, you know, they don't have that sort of team play to fall back on, which I think is really important, and I think is something that Heroic had, certainly it seemed like, a lot more of. So heading into this second map, as I was saying, here on Train, AWPers are very much more important on this map. This is a map where, certainly on the CT side, an AWP can be so powerful and so impactful. There's just so many positions where you can either go aggressive or play the AWP passively, even if you want to, where it can be incredibly useful. Either way, we're going to see Heroic hit this B site quickly with a smoke and a flash going through from Snappy. And already they're going to push their way through, but actually they're going to try and split through Connector back towards the A site. However, Stavin is here to try and shut this down. He only gets the one kill on the hold before he falls, but there are still Fragsters players waiting on that A site. Unfortunately for them, they just get completely annihilated on the A hold, but Cyclone drops the bomb. And that could be key, because he still has a smoke to try and deny. But Esatag says no himself, rushing down quickly with the Glock and finding the headshot instantly to secure the round win. You know, it didn't really feel like Heroic's strategy there went as planned, but still they come out on top. And I think that's the mark of a team that really can do a lot of damage, you know. Even when it doesn't particularly go your way, even when Fragsters have a decent setup to try and counteract that A push, they still managed to get the job done successfully. Even though it wasn't as pretty as they might have hoped for, they get the pistol round win. And now heading into this second round, they are likely to sort of put a bit of pressure on early by building up some nice money off the back of these few round wins that you would expect. Although Fragsters themselves, of course, at least have pistols in this round, so this might not be as one-sided as you would instantly think it could be, but as Snappy gets that entry towards B, it might in fact be even more one-sided than I initially thought, because the bomb will go down, and Fragsters are so far away that it's likely they're just going to look for the save at this point, you would think. Stavin's going to play for exit kills, and Modi does go aggressive with actually an AK. So that was really unnecessary there. He loses his rifle. Nico finds the trade kill, but that AK is wide out in the open and ripe for the taking as Dragonfly gets that into his hands. And now he should just be looking to save this into the next round. And I thought that Modi would have had an SMG there, because normally you see the players with the MAC-10 and the UMP happy to push through first. Luckily for Heroic, Snappy is well positioned to deny the save, but Frostlev might just push aggressively for this. He's going to have to get this kill, but no, actually, Frostlev times it incredibly well and actually saves the AK at the end of the round. Really impressive there to time that perfectly and pick up the AK just before the time expires. So Fragsters will at least have a rifle to work with in this round, and Frostlev has the Kevlar. So off the back of the nice play there, he will get to try and work his magic with the one rifle. Of course, the rest of Heroic happy to go down to MAC-10s, realizing they are mostly going to be up against players with almost no investment into the round. And of course, Frostlev himself doesn't have any investment into the round, he just saved it from the previous. Here comes the push towards A. Yugi going out by himself a little bit, but finds the opening kill, and there were a few players on his 6. Here comes the push towards the site. They don't check the close corner, but Esatag finds the trade. Here comes Frostlev, boosted up to get 3 kills. Great hold from him. They don't expect the AK to be on towards the A site so quickly and to be boosted up in towards Connector. And you saw what that meant for them in the round. He just sprays them down. And Fragsters win the all-important force buy to really sort of put things up in the air now, because you can see both teams are going for a buy. Heroics is certainly weaker, but I could certainly see them still winning this round. With the amount of nades they have plenty of opportunities to do so. Out comes the flash early on. Dragonfly has gone for the AWP. This is quite a standard position to hold with the AWP because it's quite adaptable in towards watching towards A at this long range angle or this long range angle, and just watching Ivy, which is quite important to hold. You know, if you lose Ivy, it's so much easier for the terrorists to wrap on towards the site from multiple angles, and you can just get overwhelmed. So it looks like the heroic players are lining up some nades in towards the A site, but you can see a fair few of them over towards Pop Dog, and that might be an issue because Frostlef's in quite a good position to hold this off. And as the incendiary comes in to slow things down, Heroic might have a bit of a disjointed push here because already you can see the players pushing out through T main. Frostlef only gets the one kill before he goes down, but here comes Dragonfly rotating over with the AWP. As I was saying, an adaptable position there with the gun. But the bomb is still planted towards the site because they couldn't really focus too much on the left-hand side. And that leaves Staven all by himself, 1 versus 3. And the P90 spray is pretty poor, I think, to say the least there from Staven. They end up losing the round, and again, just as Fragsters look like they might be able to really start to build something on their CT side, they lose the subsequent round, and now they themselves will continue to be on the back foot, because they only have a few rifles to work with in this one. So heading into round number 5, Heroic will just stick with 5 AKs, which I think is fairly standard. I don't think you really need an AWP, particularly on the T side of Train, for the most part. I think if you have something in mind for the AWPer to do, then that's fine. You know, if Yugi wants to go for some aggression somewhere, or maybe thinks he can just hold an angle where he knows that Dragonfly might peek himself. But for the most part, I think it's fine to just stick with 5 AKs, especially if you're going to hit this B site, because already you can see the AKs opening things up, but Torben tries to deny that as he gets a couple back. And there's Dragonfly to get a tag with the scout, but not quite the kill. The bomb will go down, but Torben finds a third through the smoke on towards Modi, who is already down low on health. And that might make all the difference. Though Yugi himself is still alive towards the site, getting 2 quick kills. He doesn't expect Cyclone to be so pushed up, so that leaves Esatag 1 versus 2. Nade towards the site, Molly to slow things down, but has Cyclone got time to stick the bomb here? The Molly isn't spreading to him, but he doesn't have the kit. So Esatag himself will just sit back patiently and be happy that the defuse can't come through. He's finally going to peek. Dragonfly needs a headshot. He doesn't find it, and that allows Esatag to win the 1-on-2. And that was always going to be the issue there. You know, the weaker weaponry really shining through at the end of that round. You know, if Dragonfly has an AWP there, then that chest shot is more than enough to get the kill and secure the round win. But with a scout trying to watch for your teammate defusing the bomb, it's just so difficult to hold that off. Even if you get the chest shot, he's just going to peek out and happily take the free kill. And you saw that come into fruition there. And now Heroic should be gaining a fair lead early on their T side of Train. Here comes the push towards B. And again, Cyclone is all by himself. Snappy nearly gets caught off guard, but Yugi has his back with 2 kills of his own on towards the AK. And there goes Nico to find a frag. So standard stuff across the board, as it's just Staven left for Fragsters. And again, in terms of sort of the meta game of Train recently, we have certainly been seeing the terrorist. I don't know what Staven's doing, but we have sort of been seeing the terrorist side certainly be able to have more success recently. I would say it's fair to say. You know, oftentimes we are seeing these sort of smoke executes on towards A, where the aim, you know, is sort of to get the bomb down with sort of smokes in towards these positions. You get the bomb planted here. And then you can just kind of, you know, sit passively and watch it from a lot of strong positions. And that's something that's been quite successful. And as well, you know, CTs are struggling sometimes to hold the B site. If you only have one player there, they can go down early on. And, you know, that can be a real big issue if your team aren't really in position. I still think it's slightly CT-sided, but not as much as you might historically think. Kills back and forth to start off the round, actually, as Snappy also finds a frag of his own. In the midst of the action, I didn't quite realise Nico himself surviving on just 1 HP. And they decide to switch the AWP over towards him. Here comes Bogdan's Law, boys. We're going to see what Nico can do with the 1 HP AWP. Of course, if you don't understand that, the idea of giving the AWP to the low health player is the fact that he can just try and land one shot quickly towards the chest before the opponent gets the time to react. Either way, here comes Stavin flashing through the Molotov. Really nicely timed there to get the 1 kill and know exactly when the Molotov was running out so that he could be safe in terms of falling back. Ooh, Yugi tapping off a couple of shots actually does some damage, but he's not going to get rewarded with a kill just yet. And as Stavin holds towards the push, he will find a headshot of his own. And that might just make all the difference. But look at Snappy. He's snuck his way back round in towards the back trains. And that allows him to open up the site entirely with just 1 kill. The bomb will go down. And Torben and Frostlev have to think about how they want to approach this one. You can see Nico still with the AWP. Doesn't quite land the shot. But again, you can see the idea. He's not really at too much risk of going down because he can just expose himself very, very slightly and try and land these AWP shots. He's going to hold again, missing the all-important shot, so he is left in a one-on-one after an even trade goes down towards the site. Frostlev trying to throw out the Molotov. That would be enough, but Nico won't miss a 3rd time. It is 3rd time lucky for his AWP, as he eventually secures the kill necessary to win Heroic the round. And I think you could see there that Nico isn't particularly a primary AWPer after missing a fair few shots, but does get the job done. And it looks like, actually, Nico is going to stick with the AWP himself here. He has a good spawn, so he's going to go for the early peek. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him give it back to Yugi in the later round. Peek comes out early. He didn't quite spot out Torben there, and that could actually cost them. Because they might not expect him to be positioned here, but now they have certainly realised where he is playing from. And that will allow them to get that opening frag. Quick look at the minimap, and you can see some aggression coming out, but Esatag denying it as Dragonfly goes down. Cyclone went for a bit of a peek towards upper B, but it didn't lead to anything. So Frostlev himself will try and take a fight against Snappy, who will easily win it, of course, leaving just Cyclone left. And Heroic really taking a strong early lead here. 7-1 up already, and this might start to get out of hand at this point. I mean, you could argue it's already a little bit out of control. Fragsters really need to start winning some rounds if they want to put a stop to this. I mean, I know it's the obvious thing to say, but even on their gun rounds, they've not really looked all that competitive. At least 1 kill, but in comes the 1 for Yugi in reply. And again, you can see here, a couple of rounds where, Heroic have had to win clutches, but for the most part, I don't think they've really been under too much threat. Either way, Fragsters will get themselves another meaty full buy, is the way I'm going to describe it, because they do not only have the AWP in the hands of Dragonfly, but also nades are plentiful on their side. Yugi going for aggression, and he will deny Torben's aggression himself with the quick kill, and the response is to go for the quick B play, but the rotate is coming through. Back down to a 2v2 after those trades come down. And Yugi decides to commit to the B play by the looks of things, and as the smoke comes in, they might just be able to gain control and the bomb plant down, because you can see it's very safe now with those smokes going up. Unfortunately for them though, Dragonfly might just get the timing perfect, but Yugi backs off. Dragonfly misses that shot. That is a huge whiff from up on Blue Train. If he gets that kill, Fragsters almost have the round guaranteed, but now you can see the Molotovs are going to be lined up. Yugi throws out the first one to slow things down, and not only that, but Nico has one of his own. In comes the defuse, but Nico goes down to the quick shot from Dragonfly, so now it's just Yugi 1-on-2. He needs to deny the defuse, but he has no idea. He's swinging around. What is happening? Who knows? But Dragonfly secures it with a USP of all things at the end of the round. And that was incredibly sloppy there. I thought Yugi was just going to take a shot through the smoke and try and deny the defuse. You'd have thought that would have been the best option, but he decides to try and take down Dragonfly, who was watching towards the bomb, possibly thinking it was going to be a fake defuse. However, when the smoke is up, you always have to be worried the bomb is being defused, and I think just firing off a shot there isn't really going to cause too much harm. Either way, Fragsters now finally going to get some money built up. We'll go for the double AWP setup. They're both playing on towards the A site, which is somewhat surprising. If Heroic managed to get up close with those nades early on, then they could really wreak havoc on towards those AWPers. They would have to land some incredible sort of reactionary shots up close to actually get those kills. But it seems like Yugi himself is mainly focused on himself, you know, trying to get some long-range fights. So that might not happen. Molotov comes through and forces Stavin back to safety, but in the meantime, the Molotov forcing him out does cause him to lose his life. However, here come the double AWPs we were talking about. Frostlev and Dragonfly both chime in with a kill of their own, but Frostlev is flanked from Ivy, and ECS is just going huge here. He's looking for a third entry, and he gets it. With only one bullet left, he can't finish off Cyclone, who's still in the 1 or 2, and as he finishes off ECS himself, he brings it down to a 1 versus 1. But oh, what? Cyclone dies to the Molotov. I didn't see where that was placed. And for some reason, Auto Director was struggling to keep up with the action. But that can't have been that good for Fragsters. Especially in such an important round where now Fragsters themselves will just have pistols, and they will also have Torben down to 90 HP after a bit of a team knife comes through. Just seems like everything is falling apart now for Fragsters as we head into this round 11. There's Muddy to get that first kill. It seems like the A site should be quite easy to take up against, again, just the pistols from Fragsters. Stavin to get one back. Here come the trades back and forth, but again, not really too back and forth because Stavin is the only one to get a kill on the Fragsters side. And he will eventually fall. Yeah, I don't know what happened in that previous round. I guess you'd have to go ahead and check the replay or check the demo because, I mean, it could have been a 1G. Who knows? Either way, to lose the clutch in that fashion has to be demoralizing, especially because losing that clutch is going to lead to a double eco from Fragsters. It's looking pretty grim for their chances at this point, has to be said. You know, on the CT side of train, I mean, I was saying earlier, even though the, you know, the CT side of train isn't as favored, it's certainly still the favored side to play on. You know, it's not like you should be getting like a 12-3 half or anything, but I think like a 9-6 half would be fair in the CT's favor. Either way, in this round, you can see Fragsters took the gamble. 4 stacked towards B, but Heroic just walked on towards A. Look at that arrow. Easy stuff. Again, of course, Fragsters stacking the B site isn't such a bad idea, because they can still try and hope for some kills. And actually, Moddy strays out into the open there, which is a little bit worrying if he loses this AK, but he is just taking scalps right now as he finds 3 kills. Frostlev, in the meantime, did drop down an opponent. It was Snappy who fell and gave this AK over. But it's not looking too good for Frostlev's chances to save it, although he's actually going to be gifted another free kill. Again, Heroic aren't too worried about their money. They'd rather just deny the AK, and they will do that thanks to ECS finding that headshot. You know, we're already heading into the late stages of this first half into round 13. And you can see Heroic should have enough money to buy up for the rest of the game, as long as they don't lose this round here. It's not like this is going to be an easy round win, because again, Fragsters do have a strong buy with the AWP over in the hands of Dragonfly, who has been good when he's had the opportunity to buy up this AWP. Or the opportunity, you could say. Ha ha ha. I don't expect anyone to laugh at that. It's a terrible pun. It's a bit overused as well. We need some new CS:GO puns. You've Glock to be kidding me? That's not good. That's terrible. That doesn't even sound similar. I'm just gonna stop. We've got Heroic lining up the B play, And this time there are two Fragsters players here, both with rifles. You can see Torben and Cyclone pretty well positioned actually to play off of each other if they focus on the same spot. But as Cyclone gets blinded early on, he has to be a little bit worried. You can see though, actually, Fragsters are in really good positions now as Torben gets 2 kills early on. The rotate has come through, but it's not even necessary because Torben finds 3 kills on the hold. And now Modi and Yugi have to try and salvage the round, but I don't think they will be able to do so because the bomb is wide out in the open as Cyclone gets 2 kills of his own from the site. And Cyclone and Torben there on the B-hold really shut things down by themselves. I mean, you saw Stavin on the map was rotating very quickly through Connector to try and help his teammates, who I think he assumed might be going down quite quickly considering how many heroic players were pushing. But instead, they shut it down. Heroic weren't really all that committed to the push. You saw a few players try to stick behind up towards Brown Halls for the post plant possibly. But you have to focus on getting the bomb down first, and they are not able to do that. There goes Yugi, though, off the back of the flashbang to get the first kill. We do see Cyclone buying up that secondary AWP, and he is playing again on towards A with it. Dragonfly holding this position, but Stavin pushed by himself there. And Dragonfly was never really going to have the angle to help him out. He finally gets a trade back to open things up for Fragsters, but they still are at a man disadvantage. And you can see what that means on the CT side as Dragonfly again playing it close with the Flames. We've already seen one Fragsters player die to the Flames earlier, and this time Dragonfly nearly falls to the same fate, but survives on 27 HP. Dragonfly going for the aggression, doesn't expect Snappy so close. Cyclone will get the 1 kill from Connector, but he's going to need a little bit more. Or at least to slow things down for Torben to rotate, which is actually happening as we speak. And that smoke went quite deep in towards Connector, so Torben peeking on the edge of it, but decides to rotate back towards B, which might be a poor decision now. Because just look at Cyclone, he's got so many positions to watch towards. What can he even do here? The answer is he can't do anything because Nico peeks from one of those angles and takes him down. Torben 1-on-3 will push out through Connector and spot out the first opponent, but he doesn't get the kill in time. Finally finding the frag, but Modi himself gets the trade kill for the team ace in favour of Heroic. They will take an 11-3 scoreline, and now heading into the last round of the half, Fragsters will have to force up with whatever the hell they can. They're spending all their cash to squeeze out a buy here. But all they've really got out of it is the AWP for Dragonfly. So let's see what he can do. Holding towards team main, the peek comes out, but Dragonfly is favoured in the duel of the AWPers as Yugi goes down, as does Snappy, because Cyclone's Deagle will find the headshot up close. And he's going to go for even further aggression as he finds a second kill on towards Nico this time. The push comes through in towards Popdog, which gifts a kill to Modi. But they still have to play from a 2-on-3, which is not going to be easy up against the double AWPs. But what is ECS doing running through the Flames? He's surely just given away his position because you can hear when players take damage from the fire. And he doesn't really get anything as a reward for it, except for baiting Torben into the open, I guess, to find that kill. ECS pushes through further, but Dragonfly whiffing the shot will be a sitting duck, as he cannot fire a second bullet quickly enough with that AWP. So it's just Cyclone left 1-on-2. He was the man that dropped the bomb in towards T-Main earlier. He's already got 2 kills, and he's going to need a couple more to win this clutch. ECS up on towards Blue Train. Out comes the peek, but Cyclone lands the shot. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't aware that ECS would be up on Blue Train. And instead of Cyclone getting the 4K, it is ECS who secures the 12-3 half for Heroic with a quad kill to close things out. And Heroic have to be feeling great about their chances now. A 12-3 half. And heading into the CT side of Train, only needing 4 rounds from this entire half, they have to be feeling that they are going to win this game at this point. As for Fragsters, well, they're just going to have to look ahead of them into this initial round. Just take it 1 round at a time, try to win this pistol round, and then work from there. Because if they did win this pistol round, I mean, 12-6, if you win the subsequent rounds, isn't too unrealistic to come back from. We see some fights go down early on, but Nico is the only man to take any damage from them, down to half HP. Oh my god, how is Modi here? How is Modi here? He gets 3 kills on some incredibly well-timed aggression up Pop Dog. I thought that that was a terrorist just forming the back of his teammates. I didn't realise Modi was just walking up and taking some free frags in the back. Absolutely insane stuff as Fragsters try to push towards B, but you have to feel like Modi has almost guaranteed this round win. Here comes the first fights, but Snappy finds 2 kills of his own with his USP, sneaking towards that position on the back of the site. And it's pretty hard to hype this up at this point, because I think it's fair to say that Heroic, being 13-3 up, are almost guaranteed to win this one at this point. Either way, I have been saying that Fragsters have some explosive players, and with 5 Deagles, you never know what's going to happen. Certainly the possibility for some headshots if they can find the angles early on. Here comes the push from Yugi, forcing the opponents back, and that will work very well to get the first kill, but Torben is actually behind him in towards Olaf. Finally, the trade comes out from Modi, but he doesn't want to risk losing his rifle. However, the best way to risk not losing your rifle, I guess, is to just get some kills, as then no one can pick it up, and he will do just that. Cyclone gets a kill elsewhere, but his teammate has gone down, so despite getting the FAMAS into his hands for a split second, it won't lead to anything because Modi finishes him off before he can even think of pulling the FAMAS out. And now heading into round 18, I mean, I guess at this point, if Fragsters were playing for the win, I think they would probably want to actually just go for the force buy. Like, what are the chances you're going to win 12 rounds in a row and bring it overtime? Not very likely. So I think I prefer to see them actually just go for a force buy here. But I also understand if they want to sort of run some T-side gun rounds and have the chance for that. That's certainly understandable. Here comes the push out towards B. He even trades early on, actually, as the Glocks are getting things done here. Torben finds a kill of his own, and they've gained a man advantage. But again, here come the rifles, just to shut things down. Yugi spraying 3. Awesome stuff from him, as he just... I don't think he even realised he got all those kills so quickly, you know. It looked like he was still looking around after that final kill. And a deserved MVP for Yugi on the retake, as those 3 kills guarantee the round win. And now here we go. This could be the last round of this series. Fragsters have, of course, decided to go for the buy. I mean, I say they've decided to go for the buy. They've basically been forced into it, of course, because Heroic are up to map and series point. Smokes and flashes over the top. Modi himself has decided to go for some aggression, clearly feeling confident with the position they are in. And it's actually Nico to get the first spray down. That was over towards B. I think Dragonfly tried to go for some aggression towards T ramp, over towards B ramp, sorry, with that AWP, and try and get an opening kill. However, it seemed like Nico was playing quite close, so with the AWP, it's always going to be quite difficult to win that fight. One minute 10 left on the clock. So Fragsters will have to speed things up eventually, although not quite now if they don't want to. As the smoke comes out, it looks like this will show the sign that they are going to push through, because so many of their nades have been used here. They have to go for this push now. And they will try to do so as Esatag nearly has it lined up. The spray down is good, and Snappy himself gets the kill. The push is going to come through from Esatag. Stavin has found 2 kills, but here comes Esatag through the smoke to shut him down. And it's Cyclone 1 on 3 to try and keep Fragsters alive, but I think we can all see where this one is likely to go. Cyclone gets full blinded, still goes for the repeat. A second flash comes through. And it will be Heroic to take a that was confusing me. But yeah, an incredibly convincing second map here. 16-3 and take the series 2-0. Another win for Heroic, who will continue to sort of climb their way up the table. They've still only played 4 games, but they are already up to 3rd place off the back of that win. And they are only behind teams that have played more games than them. So certainly Heroic could be up there and challenging for that top spot. Right now, North and Tricked are the two teams first and second place respectively. And I certainly feel like Tricked are vulnerable, although North you would assume would be the favourites to win this whole thing in the long run and then be able to sort of challenge for that spot in ECS. There's still Gambit in the mix as well, who have only played 3 games, as well as Space Soldiers up there with one win and 4 draws. But yeah, other than that, again, if you did enjoy, as always, give me a cheeky follow on Twitter or subscribe on YouTube or whatever you want to do. I don't care as long as you give me something. Give me something to work with. And yeah, other than that, make sure to stick around because we will be back still for another best of 2, at least one more best of 2. Gambit versus Tricked will be coming up after the break, and then depending on some other things, we might be able to see the final game of today, which is going to go on a little bit later. But yeah, make sure to stick around for Not Heroic, it's Tricked. Gambit versus Tricked. There's too many Danish teams, but yeah. Gambit versus Tricked will be up after the break. Alright guys, welcome back to the ECS Development League. As always, brought to you by myself, Hawker, or Hawker_CS, whatever the hell you want to call me, I don't care. We are back underway into the second series of the day. Ooh, sweet rhymes. And we've got Gambit going up against Tricked here in this series. And this is actually, I think, for me, the most interesting game of the day. Because Gambit, you'd have thought, would have been one of the teams that would be favoured to sort of compete near the top of the rankings, but they've only played 3 games so far in this league, whereas Tricked themselves, I think, have actually been sort of the one sort of surprise team that have performed above expectations and are currently up there in 2nd place after they have played, I believe, 5 games. Gambit themselves have only played 3 games and drawn them all, so they are down in 6th, but still plenty of room to improve. And a win here would go a long way in doing so as we head underway into the pistol round where Gambit are just going to go for the full-on B rush. But there are 2 trick players, make that 3 trick players ready and waiting to try and shut this down. One of them is Lucky, who gets a quick kill with the USP and lines up a second. Oh, Lucky gets a third on the end as he finds 3 quick headshots with that USP to secure a very fast pistol round win for Tricked. Gambit tried to just overwhelm that B site, but fairly often it seems like teams are happy to stack 3 players towards B early on and attempt to retake the A site on the rotate through on these sort of pistol rounds. So I'm kind of surprised that Gambit risked the B rush there, and you saw it didn't work out. They ran into the stack, and now they just have to commit 2 pistols into this second round. We'll see Hobbit spraying away with the CZ for the first kill as Insta pushed aggressive towards under. But of course he only had the MP9, so not too much of a risk in terms of, you know, him losing that gun, because it only gives the opponents an SMG to work with that's quite bad against the Kevlar. So you can see what the idea is there. Still though, a quick look at the map and you can see Tricked are playing this A-hold very, very passively. There's already a player sneaking up towards the site, but Dozier was that player and he will be no longer as he goes down. And now Gambit have to think twice about this A push, but they've decided after some thought that they will indeed commit to this push towards the A site and likely get the bomb planted, as Lucky is not able to deny the bomb plant by trying to spray through the box. So Mo will get that one down after taking a fair amount of damage. Hobbit in the meantime actually got a kill with a Deagle himself before the trade came through. And you would think now at this point that Tricked would be able to close this one out as Rixo lands a quick flick on towards the face of Mo. And Hobbit, 1-on-3 with a UMP, won't be feeling too good about his chances as Refresh finishes him off after he gets the quick Deagle shot. And Rixo, thanks to 4 kills, will secure a round for Tricked, who took it quite convincingly at the end there, but it wasn't exactly as safe as they may have hoped for. However, of course, this round should be easier for them, because despite the bomb plant, I wouldn't expect Gambit to buy up here, but it looks like someone has made the decision to go for the full force buy. And this is very sort of last minute, you know, disjointed decision making from Gambit, it seems. I wouldn't have minded them even taking a timeout there. You know, when you have these 30-second timeouts to discuss things through, you should kind of just use them, I think, in spots like that where you don't know if you're going to buy or not. They decide to take the gamble, and it might not pay off because Trick themselves have rifles across the entirety of their team. Lucky is holding again passively on towards A, but he will spot out that there was a rifle in the hands of Dozier. So that should give them the information necessary to be aware they have to be somewhat worried of those rifles. But already with the man advantage, they will feel a little bit more safe, although actually kills back and forth here. Console, though, extends the margin of victory for Tricked in those trades, but Hobbit gets one back and a second quick headshot. This becomes winnable for Gambit now. Hobbit and Adren are both incredibly low on health, but I'm sure the 2 Kazakh players will be hoping to recover that bomb. Unfortunately for them, as they try to rotate back towards B, with the bomb being stuck towards A, they start to focus on that, and I'm not sure that Adren and Hobbit are that aware that they don't have the bomb in their control. With 35 seconds left, they need to speed this up, but Adren is nowhere near the action. He's looking to hopefully catch this player off guard towards B short, and Rixo might actually be caught in the back here. But as Adren makes a step, Rixo should have heard it, but he doesn't hear the step being made, so Adren is going to take the free kill and leave it all up to his teammate, Lucky, in a 1-on-2. 14 seconds left. The bomb is going to have to be planted towards A. And Lucky will hear these steps, so he should be able to deny the bomb plant here. He's moving towards the site, going for the spray, gets the first kill, and he knows exactly where Hobbit is playing from here. And he just needs a single stray bullet to finish him off. And Lucky is able to deliver the 1-on-2. He was in a very good position there to try and be able to pull off that clutch, especially with both Gambit players being so low on health. And again, I don't mind the idea from Gambit of going for the force there if the whole team is on the same sort of wavelength. But you kind of saw there that Gambit weren't really all that sort of emphatic in their decision making. It took them a fair amount of time to all commit to that one. And that's what really seemed to cost them there. They didn't really seem to have anything in mind after they elected to go for the force buy. And again, with Gambit, in my opinion, being favourites in this first game here, I would like to see them, you know, just take as few risks as possible and, you know, rather just go for pistols in that round and get a great buy into this one. But instead now, in this round number 4, you can see their buy is questionable, to say the least, with only 2 AKs to speak of on their T side. They will, however, have enough nades for an A play. This could work out for them, although they are running into a stack. So the nades are going to have to be very well placed to deny the trick players any kills, because already as the push comes through, Lucky might get the first frag, but actually Gambit themselves are opening up the site cleanly here. Mo finds a kill of his own, and that is about as good as Gambit could have hoped for. They only lose 1 player in the process of the push, as Console and Rixo will have to just save what they can. And I'm kind of surprised there that Tricked weren't really set up well enough to get the trade frags through. Seemed like they were in great position there to try and slow it down, but doesn't work out in the end. And Gambit will take this all-important first gun round for themselves, because now Tricked actually are going to be the ones that are not going to have the cash after losing a fair few players in the recent rounds. They do not have any money built up. There's a kill for Console on the exit frags, but not going to be too important, really. Tricked will save the 2 guns, however, you can already see their team doesn't really have that much money to be able to invest alongside these 2 saved rifles. I think at this point still, Tricked might as well go for the Force. You know, their money is so bad that even if they eco 1 here, I don't think they'll have a great buy into the next round. So I don't mind the decision here. I think I'm a fan of this. Just go for the Force. You can get 3 UMPs, actually 2 UMPs and a FAMAS. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to check CT spawn next. I think I saw a 3rd UMP at one point. Did they leave a gun? No, it looks like they didn't. So they bought up correctly, which is always good to see. Especially in these rounds where the money is really important, you absolutely don't want to be wasting any with a misbuy. So we will get to see Rixo try to hold off towards mid with this saved AWP. In comes the peek, but Rixo gets blinded. However, he doesn't miss a second time, as Mo, going for the aggression, will lose his life. Molotov came through, but Hobbit didn't quite position that perfectly to sort of force that player out into the open. Oh, Rixo gets dinked, but reacts in time to take down Fitch, who I think went for the pre-fire there. And now that Rixo has the 2 opening kills, you can see why Tricked were quite happy to go for the Force here, because that AWP can make a huge difference towards mid if it can find the correct angles. You know, fairly often window will be smoked off, so AWPers have to be a little bit creative in trying to hold off mid. And Rixo is doing just that as he holds towards B short, but Hobbit with the spray transfer finds 3 kills. Really nice accuracy there with the AK to find those final 2 headshots. And just 1 player makes a huge difference for Gambit as they swing it into their favour. The Console with some nice little accurate shooting at long range finds the face of Adren in reply. However, Hobbit isn't done yet. He gets a 4th kill. He's going to go for the ace here to try and clutch it. And Hobbit just puts the entirety of Gambit on his back and pulls off the clutch. Call him Sam, because he's just carried his team, Frodo, all the way to the top of the mountain, because now they are the ones with the cash, whereas Tricked are forced into a pretty grim position. Nades towards mid early on. Gambit will look to gain control towards A by the looks of things. Though a lot of their players are focused towards mid, so I'm not sure they will all want to pile in through connector towards that A site. So you can see they will just slow things down and maybe sort of make sure they all know exactly where they are going, rather than pushing by themselves. Although just as I say that, Mo does push by himself with the MAC-10, but he does have, I guess, some support from Adren, who was also pushing in towards Laddering. And as always, the MAC-10s aren't really that worried of dying off, because they're not really having too much to lose. Another kill for Mo, so just Console left alive, and this one will quite easily go in favour of the terrorists, as you would expect. And that ace from Hobbit really might make a big difference, because you can see now Tricked deciding to take a timeout here. I don't mind the decision, because we've certainly seen these timeouts be way underused. You know, you have 4 30-second timeouts, so you can use them a lot more sort of liberally. And we are seeing that happen here from Tricked, as it looks like they might be sort of talking about if they want to buy into this round. I wouldn't be surprised if they were, because, you know, fairly often teams want at least one AWP on Mirage, and oftentimes you will see double AWPs on the CT side, which Tricked won't be able to afford here. But at the same time, you know, I think it's just you know, too strong of a buy to sort of pass up when you can get full rifles and, you know, fair enough utility. I think they have to take this opportunity, and they will look to win this round here. Mo and Adren have gone for Mac 10s, continuing to hold on to these from the previous rounds. So that's a little bit worrying for Gambit. Looks like they're going to try and send Mo and Adren in first, but the rifles of Trick should be favoured in these opening fights. And instead it looks like the Gambit players might just have to try and gain information, at least the ones with the Mac 10s. Mo is one of them pushing through, but the Mac 10s are actually getting things done for the opening 2 picks. There was Lucky to sort of bait his teammate a little bit, but he finds the trade kill safely. So it's not all that bad for Tricked as they bring it back to a 3v3. Mo himself upgrades to a FAMAS, and oh, the timing's a little bit off for Console. He takes some damage, and now they might look to go quickly towards this B site where he was the only player holding. The rotate comes through quite quickly as we go back down, but it's only Rixo left alive. So despite Tricked getting into a decent position in towards Kitchen to try and gain some ground, it doesn't really lead to anything, as Gambit just frag out. You can see Rixo himself will fall at the end. So Gambit, after losing the pistol round, will start to get things done on their T side, winning 4 rounds in a row. Dozier himself been struggling a little bit to start off this game. Not got a kill just yet, but Hobbit has certainly been making up for that. He's up there at 12 frags, and particularly that ace was certainly an impressive round. Couple of shots going back and forth, but it's finally Mo who will open things up with the FAMAS. Again, just pistols for Trick, so you'd expect Gambit to really run this round over. And they are indeed doing just that, bulldozering that A site. There is still Refresh here, who actually catches Adren off guard. But again, it's only the Mac 10, and ooh, a second kill for Refresh. But Dozier finally makes his presence felt on the server by getting his first kill with a solid headshot on towards the jumping player. So Gambit take the 5-3 lead fairly easily after winning those 4 spies. Now the question becomes, can they deal with a proper full buy? Because that's what Tricked have here. Rixo even has an AWP alongside full nades for most of the players, but you can see Gambit's response to realizing Tricked are on a full buy is to go for some quick aggression here, and this could catch the A players off guard, as Hobbit gets into connector so quickly for the first kill. Trade's coming back, though, as Tricked get a couple of frags in their favour, so they actually swing it back into a 4-on-3 for their side. But Dozier's nade is well placed to trade it back, and again, we're seeing so many trades back and forth towards the A site. Goes down to a 2 versus 2 as Dozier gets the bomb planted. Console slowly moving forward, but Mo is more than ready to shut him down. And now Rixo is the one man alive, and with an AWP it's so difficult to do anything, but Dozier takes a huge risk swinging out into the open. It nearly costs him his life, but he manages to live on just 11 HP. A little bit lucky there, I think it's fair to say, for Gambit, but they get the job done at the end of the day. And now as we go into round number 10, again Tricked are down to pistols, and this really has been the story of the start of this first half for Tricked. They've been forced down to these pistol buys so often because the gun rounds have not been going their way. And this is not the Tricked we've been seeing so far in this Development League, who are currently in 2nd place. We've seen Tricked play fairly well, and they're above Gambit so far, but if Gambit could get the wins here, then they could start to climb up the table themselves, that's for sure. I really do think this is going to be a turning point in Gambit's sort of chances here in the Development League. You know, of course, the 2 winning teams get the opportunity to play for a spot in the ECS League, which is obviously a massive opportunity. And right now, Gambit are down there in 6 out of 8 teams, but they've only played 3 games, whereas a few of the other teams have played a fair few more. So they still have time to climb up the rankings. And a win here would certainly be a great start to that, because Tricked themselves are up in 2nd place and have started really well. So if Gambit could get this win here, I think this would be a huge, huge sort of coup for them. Of course, we also saw some cryptic tweets from Hobbit recently. Possibly some sort of roster changes happening in the Gambit lineup. We're not exactly sure what it was yet, but Hobbit was making some tweets about some bad news, possibly. At least for him. Although I think he did say it might be good news for Gambit. So who even knows? Either way, as we head into round 11, we will focus back on this game because, again, Tricked have the buy ready. The previous gun round, they got overwhelmed by some quick mid play, and you can see their response is going to be themselves to try and push up towards mid and deny any aggression from Gambit, and that might work out in their favour. The flash is going through, but Console decides not to take the risk of swinging out into that open angle where there's a fair few positions that you have to try and deal with. Instead, they're just going to smoke it off and take any presence towards mid away from Gambit. Now Gambit themselves seem to be trying to go quickly towards A, thinking that the A site hold might be weak, but you can already see Tricked have managed to rotate back into decent enough positions to hold this off. A couple of players in towards Connector, one man in towards Jungle, ready to try and help the team hold this. But as the smokes came over, Gambit are actually taking so long to push through here. They don't really have that much utility left, but Tozier takes a head off through that box. I didn't even know that was a possibility. That's a huge kill as it shuts down anyone from CT. Molotov goes in, Insta tries to stick the defuse and he might just have time for it. Dozier gets slowed down. He's going to try and deny it, but he gets the headshot in time. I like the idea from Tricked there, but they didn't really have the firepower to hold it off. The incendiary in towards Palace was certainly well placed to slow down the one player there, but you saw Dozier was the one man they really needed to deal with. And when he won his first fight, he was always going to be able to shut things down. And now I think Tricked have realised they're so far behind that they are going to take the risk of going for a force into this one. We're already into round number 12, so we're reaching the late stages of this first half, and Gambit have not showed us any signs of slowing down here. 8 rounds in a row for them now, really sort of proving their superiority. So we've got Refresh pushed up into a ramp. He's got some information for his team, and it looks like the rest of Gambit have decided to go for mid control. Again, this time Tricked are more than happy to give it away to them, and let's see what Tricked can do now, because again, that previous round's adaptation isn't exactly going to work all the time. They can't consistently push up top mid. You can see what that means as Gambit gain mid control and try to split towards the B site. The trades go back and forth. Oh, and that was a huge kill from Refresh, pushing through towards CT spawn, getting that one kill. Back down to a 2v2. Back down to a 2-on-2, as we were saying. The bomb is dropped down. But Tricked don't really have the best positions to hold this off. You can see Refresh is just trying to slow it as long as possible, because with 20 seconds left, Gambit have to push through, and Refresh does all the work he needed to. 2 important kills, and more importantly, again, the well-timed push earlier to drop the bomb in the first place really sort of put, trouble in the plans of Gambit, if you like. And now as we go into round number 13, we will get to see again both teams have AWPs, but we've rarely seen Rixo and Mo actually be in too many fights early on, because I don't think Mo has really decided to go for this AWP all that often. You know, the rifles have been working for the most part. Hobbit gets the one kill before he goes down, but he didn't really have any support in towards A ramp. So that's certainly in favor of Tricked in terms of information, because you can see Lucky here can just play this position and sort of spot early on if any A aggression will come through. So after an even trade early on, Gambit decide their best course of action is to slow things down. But as I say that, they themselves are going for something a bit weird here. I'm not exactly sure what the idea is, because Mo is left by himself in towards A ramp with the bomb. And you can see he's deciding maybe against it, but no, he's still going to line up a smoke or something. And this is a huge risk to take, because if he loses the fight in towards A ramp against Lucky, that will be the bomb drop down, and a very tough position to come back from. Mo, though, is aware. He gets that kill. That was so important, but there is a second player pushed up. It's Insta who might be able to make the difference in this round, because Mo might be unaware, and already the bomb goes down in towards Slope, and now Gambit have to react quickly. Kotsol trying to get something going. Whips out the USP, but it's Adren to win the duel. And now Insta goes for some well-timed aggression. Ooh, he nearly lines them up, but Dozier is successful in the trade. And as Gambit win another round, it feels like now Tricked might just go crashing out of this first half. You can see Tricked only having pistols to play with in this round, and they've invested almost everything. So into round 15, they're unlikely to get too much of a buy going together unless they can manage to win this round, which would be a bit miraculous, but I guess not impossible, all things considered, with the pistols they have invested into wards. That nade in towards Refresh certainly did some damage early on. Rixo will be isolated in towards Connector as the smoke comes in. And again, well played by Adren just to make sure he can just take a one-on-one fight with the rifle and win it with ease, as Dozier himself opens up the B site. Pretty easy round for Gambit, all things considered. They get the entries they needed, and Insta and Lucky will just look to save. Or I guess you could say they were lucky to save. Just Lucky left. Again, I think they were trying to play for exit kills to at least save something, which I guess is okay, but at this point you have to feel like Tricked are really quite far behind. Mirage is a map where I'm not exactly sure what the overall sort of thoughts are on whether or not it's terrorist or counter-terrorists that should be favoured in terms of winning the most rounds. I think it's very matchup dependent in my opinion. I think we just saw some of the Gambit players shooting each other there. But not to worry, Lucky will save the gun. And now we will head into the last round of the half, where again Tricked will have almost nothing to work with. And this is looking like it could be an incredibly one-sided first map if it keeps up at this rate. Because again, Gambit have won, what, 10 out of the last 11 rounds? Really incredible stuff. Oof. Mo lands a shot early on. Insta taken down low, and he just about gets saved by the wall. Rixo himself with the scout peeks out towards short, and Fitch had very little support from his team there because of that smoke going through. So that's one opening for Tricked that might be enough for them if they can keep this up, but it's going to be difficult even from this point, even with a man advantage. Their weaponry is just so weak. Looks like Insta will take the AK despite being only on 17 HP, although, sorry, no, Rixo decides to pick it up himself. It looks like he's not switching to it yet, a bit strange. And this is taking a lot of time, but Gambit themselves are going to push towards A, and there is already Insta pushed up towards top mid, in towards T spawn, you can see on your map, so he could be a huge player in this round. There goes Lucky for the first kill, and as long as they can slow things down, the flank will come through, but Lucky just gets the job done by himself with the 2 kills, as Rixo also chimes in with one of his own to leave Dozier 1 of 4, and Lucky finishes him off. So Tricked gets some information, over towards mid, and that makes a huge difference because they were aware the A play was coming through, and the players close with the pistols managed to get the kills they needed. Still 10-5 in favour of Gambit at the half, so even though Tricked get that round at the end there, I still certainly think that Gambit are the happier of the two teams fairly easily, because heading into their CT side, I'm sure they will be quite confident they can get at least 6 rounds out of this half and take the win. And here we go, the pistol round coming through quickly because Tricked are going to line up some A smokes. Gambit themselves very spread across the map, but you can see the one place they are a little bit weaker, it would be safe to say, is towards A, where only Fitch is really holding. So as the push comes through, let's see if Fitch can at least get a kill or two, but he's unlikely to be able to do so now because he is dinked so quickly. That's going to force him to fall back. Rixo gets flashed in towards CT, and what a flash that was. It forced 3 players back and allowed Tricked to win those fights as they get the trades in their favour, thanks to Lucky finding 2 kills. Adren and Dozier, the 2 players left, and Adren will go aggressively pushing through actually to clear some positions. You can see he's going to push all the way through towards A ramp and realise there is no one here. But that means that, of course, Console in towards Palace might just be able to find him in the back of the head. Adren taps the bomb, but to no avail, because the rest of Tricked are well enough positioned to shut it out. So, of course, heading into this next round, we will see Gambit decide to go for the force buy, as is very, very standard. And Trick themselves should be aware of that, although they only get the 1 AK for Lucky, so that's a little bit worrying, I guess, especially as Mo has a Scout and Kevlar in towards mid. He could certainly land some shots if Tricked aren't careful. Especially because Mo is an AWPer in general who feels very sort of up and down. You know, the Scout seems like something he could also be kind of insane with if he can get the headshot successfully, sorry. Either way, you can see Tricked wanting to make sure they take as little risk as possible in this round, but they're playing it so safe that they are kind of allowing Gambit to get some information as Dozier pushes up towards top mid. The one player that might meet him, though, is Insta, who comes up from underground. But instead, Insta might be the man to get his way in towards Connector and really make a difference for Tricked now, because as the push comes towards A, there's only a couple of Gambit players here, and already there are no Gambit players here as they die off so quickly. The UMP is really getting things done right now as they find 3 kills between them. Despite Mo's best efforts, he's only good for 1 kill on the hold. So Hobbit, 1 of 4, will likely just die off soon. We did see him ace in that 1 round, but he did have an AK, and it's a bit more difficult to do so with a Desert Eagle, unless Tricked makes some mistakes, which is what Hobbit is going to rely on if he actually tries to clutch this. But already you can see that's not looking likely. Instead, Hobbit seems to be falling back, although just as I say that, he repositions to try and look for some exit kills by the looks of things. Again, though, pretty standard round from Tricked. Taking it slowly against the force buy here is fairly common, just to try and make sure you don't run into a sort of stack or anything like that. Oh, sorry, apparently I pressed the escape button, but Hobbit does go down at the end. So Tricked keeping themselves in with a shot. So we go back to a 10-7 scoreline, which is almost certainly going to be 10-8 any second now, because Gambit themselves only have 1 player investing anything into this round, and that's going to be Mo with a P250 bought up. They have decided to take a risk in terms of the top mid push, which of course is fine, and now they will go back to a stack on towards the B site. Unfortunately for Gambit, they pushed the 2 positions where Tricked are not going towards. Instead, Tricked walk on towards the A site, and that's a bit unlucky from Gambit, all things considered. Insta gets the 1 kill from underpass, but he has to be somewhat worried that the Gambit players could be pushing him. Ooh, Fitch can't be too happy with that one, getting shot straight through a smoke as Console finishes him off. And it's looking almost certain at this point that Tricked will just clean up this round. You can see Rixo finds one with the MP7. So Mo and Adren will be the two players left, and there shouldn't really be too much for them to do. Adren is sneaking his way towards the site, but it's not going to really mean anything because there's no one there. So instead it's Mo who might be able to get some kills, but he himself is unlikely to, although just as I say that, he does find a headshot to end the round. So we go back to a 10-8 scoreline into this first gun round, and Gambit now have a full buy with Mo on the AWP, although it's not quite as full as you might have hoped for, because you can already see both Adren and Dozier, in order to get some nades for the team, have been forced down to UMPs, and Mo himself doesn't have Kevlar to go alongside that AWP. So Gambit could be in some trouble here, all things considered. I mean, Tricks themselves don't exactly have full weaponry across the entirety of the team. You can see a couple of players holding on to some of their slightly weaker guns that they had in the previous round. But Tricked aren't really the ones in danger right now, because they themselves, if they lost this round, would still be able to get another strong buy, whereas Gambit would likely have to go down to pistols again, and Tricked could really start to sort of put their names out there in terms of having an opportunity to win this first map. Here comes some nades in towards A. And Gambit do have three players somewhat towards the site. One of them being Adren, who goes for a sloppy spray, but doesn't really connect with anything there. Fitch is the one man with the rifle towards the site, who at least gets the one kill, but the push is actually coming over towards B, where Dozier is the only man trying to hold off 4 opponents. And that's not an easy task. They haven't spotted him towards the back of the site, though. They don't clear the site fully, and that allows Dozier to open things up, and also allows Fitch to get through on the rotate for a kill of his own, as Dozier finds another frag. It's all up to Console, and he is down on just 13 HP. So out of nothing, Dozier opens things up and gives Gambit a great chance to win the round, as Dozier goes aggressive for a third frag. And that B hold from Dozier was so important. But at the same time, you have to feel like Tricked should have been comfortable and confident enough to really push through towards the site and make sure everything was clear. There was only one player towards B, and if Tricked push through and just get a quick trade on towards Dozier, even if Dozier gets one kill, they should be able to find the trade frag. And then you would think they would be able to get the bomb down easily, and you know, Gambit are kind of stuck on the outside looking in as the players rotate over from A. However, instead, Dozier does a great job at slowing things down and allowing Gambit that extra time to get their A players rotated over. And you saw what that meant, because Fitch could get into position pushing through the left side of Kitchen, because you saw where Dozier was playing at the back of the site. He could be 100% safe just pushing through here and really catching players off guard in towards this angle. And that's a bit of a mistake from Tricked there, because that could really hold their chances back. You would think if they got that kill on towards Dozier, the round is almost guaranteed. However, instead, it goes back the other way, and now Gambit themselves are the ones with the double AWPs. Interestingly, Hobbit being the secondary AWPer for the team, it looks like. He's going to be locking down that B site, whereas Tricked are focused towards mid, and that's the primary AWPer's job, because Mo finds that opening kill. Decides to reposition. Mo gets a second! Actually, it was 3 kills before he went down, as he took down Lucky at close mid. And Mo single-handedly gives Gambit a huge advantage in this round. This is why the double AWPs are so favoured on Mirage, because when holding off towards mid, when there's no smoke there, you can do so much work. Console and Rixo themselves will try to get things done, and Rixo himself has an AWP, so this round certainly isn't over just yet. But the bomb is dropped in an awkward position for Tricked to try and recover it, because you can see here it's just under window. And Hobbit himself is lined up to hold this off, as well as, I believe, Dozier in a fairly decent position to help him out. Looks like Dozier has actually decided he's going to pick up the AWP that Mo dropped earlier, which is a somewhat strange decision. He's repositioned over towards B, and Hobbit also has decided to do the same. So it looks like Gambit themselves aren't aware the bomb dropped over towards mid, but I don't think it matters too much, because as the time ticks down, you can already see Tricked are forced to sort of make some moves and take some risks, and that allows Hobbit to catch Console in the open. And Rixo already realizes without the bomb, this is just too much of an ask. He's going to go ahead and look to save his AWP, and I think he will be safe in doing so. But at what cost? Because Gambit already are going to have a 12-8 lead, and that could be extended further, considering the rest of Tricked won't have great money. I think they will have to go for the buy, because of course Rixo doesn't get any cash for surviving towards the end of the round on the T side. So they're going to be forced into going for the force buy, really. And already you can see they will indeed go for that, with Insta buying up an AK, as does Refresh. But other than that, Lucky and Console forced down to UMPs. And I think the most important thing to look at in this round is the fact that Tricked have such little in terms of utility. Because I think on Mirage, that's so important, unless you go for a B rush, which seems to be the case. But already you can see they don't really have the nades to counteract these early sort of nades from Gambit that are coming out to slow things down. And that's going to force Tricked to slow their pace down considerably. Ooh, Pete comes through and Hobbit takes some huge hits early on. In the meantime, Insta, the one man over towards mid, actually gets the opening kill, surprisingly. And now, Tricked with a man advantage might think twice about the B play, especially with the smoke going up. So all things considered, not too bad for Tricked, but again, the main issue is going to be the lack of utility. Because on Mirage, that's so important to have the nades. You know, you can see, even trying to take towards mid, if you don't have a smoke for window, then it can be incredibly difficult to gain control. Luckily for Tricked, there's no presence there from Gambit just yet. 45 seconds left though, and Tricked do have to push somewhat quickly here. And it looks like their answer is going to be pushing towards the A site. And again, this is a site where normally you want to have plenty of smokes to try and gain control, but all they have to work with is the one smoke from Lucky. Already Dosia towards B short nearly gets an opening kill, but Insta could capitalize. He's in a really good position, but Dosia gets such a quick flick back. Fitch himself goes for the spray, gets the one kill. He spots out the second and finds the frag before he goes down. But actually, I didn't realize Tricked got so many kills in the midst of the push towards the site that Dosia is the only man left. He goes aggressive, gets the first kill. But does he know where Console is playing from with the AWP? Looks like he does, because he smokes towards CT, fakes the defuse. Console fires a shot, so that gives away his position. He's so scared of the defuse, but somehow Console wins out in that fight, despite Dosia knowing exactly where he was coming from. That's ridiculous. How the hell does Console get that kill? Dosia was playing it perfectly. He smoked CT, he tapped the bomb. The shot was fired off, so Dosia knew exactly where the player was coming from. And still, he is not able to react in time because Console was too quick on the AWP. Ridiculous stuff. And that round win really makes this game very much up for grabs. Because Gambit themselves, with just pistols in this round, are not going to be too likely to get this one. Hobbit goes for a jump peek. I don't think he spotted anyone out there, so he's going to maybe come straight back up. He decides against it. Now he goes for the jump peek and spots one out. So there we go. Gambit finally gains some information. But again, it's not really all that important because all things considered, I don't think they will be thinking their chance to win this round is very great whatsoever. You know, they only have a few pistols brought up. Oh, here we go. Is this the play? Is this the play from Mo? He's coming in for the flank, but oh no, Lucky comes through himself and realizes his teammates are about to be stabbed in the back. Wow, that looks so funny from Lucky's perspective. I'm sure he was wondering what on earth was happening. But it still works out for Tricked. The Danes should take this round now with just Adren and Dosia left alive. Ooh, Dosia gets one kill and the second dink before he goes down. It doesn't really lead to anything. As Tricked get themselves their 10th round on the board. So Gambit here in this round 23 have actually decided to force up, which is somewhat surprising because they can't really get a great buy together. A couple of UMPs in the mix, but I guess it's not too bad of a buy. It's something to work with, I guess. They do have the AWP of Mo, of course, but Already you can see Trick themselves heavily stacked up towards B. And right now you'd think they want to push through quickly because they have no information as to whether the CTs have pushed up mid or pushed A for info. So we will see them go quickly towards this B site, and here we go. Hobbit holding, gets the first kill. The UMP good at close range, but not good enough for more than a frag as he goes down. And as we're back to a 3-on-3, the bomb will be planted. And Mo couldn't really take any more risks being so low on health, so he is forced to fall back. So the question becomes, do Gambit want to take the risk of going aggressive? And it looks like they do. But Lucky says no, as he denies the players pushing through B short. And Mo himself will have to just save the AWP. Trick are starting to make sure that this one is going to be incredibly close now. We're back to a 12-11 scoreline. They've been quite good on this T side so far. And the main thing that's been going in their favour, to be honest, is just them being able to keep Gambit's money sort of on the edge. We will see Mo get to save the AWP at the end of the round. However, what can the rest of the team really get here? We will get to see the buys filter through for Tricked, but not really for Gambit, because they've decided to invest basically nothing into this round. It's just Fitch buying up a P250. So this looks like Gambit are kind of getting sick and tired of having these awkward buys in multiple rounds. Instead, they are going to finally try and make sure they have a really strong buy into this next round we will see coming up. So I'll be interested to see if Mo just tries to save his AWP, or if he does try to actually still go for retakes or anything here, because you can see the push is going to come through towards A, where there is only Fitch holding with the P250. He does at least get the one kill, one towards the good timing as Insta goes down, but it's not really going to lead to too much, because already you can see the rest of Tricked, as expected, opening things up. USP of Adren attempting something, but it doesn't work out, and Mo, after firing off a shot, looks like we'll try to save the AWP yet again into another round. We'll have to take a quick look at the Tricked money, because you can see their money is probably good enough to actually want to try and take this AWP out of the hands of Mo. We are going to go back to a 12-12 scoreline, so it's going to be all tied up heading into the late stages of this game. Mo holding off towards Kitchen. Here's the steps coming through B-apps, but you can only get one of them. That's the problem there with holding with the AWP. The second player is always going to take you down, as Lucky does find the trade, and Mo will lose his AWP at the end there. So that means that Mo, in order to reinvest into the AWP now, is forced to spend so much of his money on that one weapon that he's only able to get Kevlar alongside it. For the rest of Gambit, though, rifles and decent enough nades, although only one defuse kit to speak of in the hands of Fitch. Dren's going aggressive towards mid by himself, which is a little bit surprising, but this off angle is somewhat easy to fall back from, and oftentimes will not be checked. So I don't mind the idea from him there. However, it seems like Tricked themselves aren't too focused towards mid. Instead, it looks like as the bomb is towards A ramp, they might go for an A play, but they're very spread across the map, which is somewhat surprising. Luckily for Mo, he's not surprised by Lucky being in towards A ramp, because he gets that opening kill after reacting in time. But Fitch tries to take advantage of that and push in towards A ramp, which doesn't work out because he is dropped down. It's back to a 4-on-4, but Insta trying to work his way out of Palace by himself. You see, the ramp players weren't really ready to push and assist him. Now Rixo goes for the peek with the bomb and gets the kill back. Really awkward round so far from Tricked, but they have been fortunate enough to get some kills back and at least keep it in a 3v3. And more importantly, Refresh has completely, just walked his way on towards the B site for free. Gambit saw the bomb, they rotated heavily, and in the meantime, Refresh on the lurk gets it done to allow them to get the bomb down. And as the bomb is planted, Gambit will have to try and retake, and they haven't quite recovered Fitch's defuse kit yet. So that might force them to go a little bit more quickly than they would have initially hoped for. In comes the peek, and Rixo finds another kill, as does Console in towards B Apartments. And Adren, 1-on-3, I don't think we'll be able to win this one. Already you can see he is deciding it's too difficult to try and go for it. He's going to save what he can. And again, a quick look at the scoreboard shows you now that the money on the Gambit side really won't be that great again. I know they have a big losing bonus built up, but with only one gun saved here, Adren trying to save this AWP, I don't think they're going to be able to buy into the next round all that strong. You can already see their money, it's really on the edge. I mean, they're down 13-12, so they do have the chance to try and eco one more round and get a strong buy into the next one if they wanted to. But already you can see Adren has dropped the AWP, so it looks like that will not be the perspective they take. Instead, they will go for the force buy and really put a huge amount of pressure on this round now. Gambit don't win this one. They're going to have to continue these awkward force buys that are not going to be great. Again, we see a slow start to the round, which Tricked have gone for fairly often with good success so far. So no real reason for them to switch things up here. Especially because I think Tricked are probably a little bit worried about whether it's a buy or not. But here we go. Hobbit gets such good timing on the push towards Underground. He catches Refresh with a nade out to get the opening kill. And now the rest of Tricked have to respond quite quickly here because they must be aware that Gambit have pushed up towards B. So you can see they themselves are going to try and take A quickly before the rotate can come through. But it looks like they aren't now. Sorry, they might have decided against that. In comes the smoke towards A ramp. 50 seconds left. And Trick don't really have that many nades left. They used a lot of them for that play they seem to be lining up earlier. And again, you can see Gambit are still pushed up towards B apartments. Hobbit is the man, still making the information plays for his team. He might get the timing slightly wrong here, though, because the players will push through towards B apartments, and he's not really ready for this one. They're going to push through on towards Dozier, who was the only player holding towards B site. And now this becomes really, really troublesome for Gambit, because they don't really have any presence towards the B bomb site. But that one kill from Hobbit, again, could make a big difference. However, Adren tries to go aggressive to gain some ground, and that costs him his life. Hobbit forced to fall back, but in the meantime, Fitch gets the job done to leave only Rixo left. He gets the first kill and nearly pre-fires the second. The nade goes through a bit too far, but it does kill off Fitch. And Rixo wins a huge 1-on-3 for Tricked. How is he allowed to take so many one-on-one fights there? Gambit seemed like they had finally gained the upper hand in a round. And yet it slips away from them at the last possible seconds. And now Gambit themselves, again, have to go for a force buy. But that round from Rixo might just make all the difference in this one. Because as you can see, Gambit's buy is really tenuous now. Looks like Tricked are grouped up towards A early on here. So they might go for a quick A play themselves. They have the utility in their hands. Whereas you can see Gambit have already used up pretty much all they have to work with. Hobbit's the one man with some nades left. Couple of shots fired off back and forth. They're just going to come through, but Fitch's counter flash is placed very well for the kills. Insta himself finally finds one in reply. There's still a man disadvantage for the Danish team. Rixo is still alive with the AWP though, and we've seen what that can mean for Tricked in the previous round. Here comes the peek, but Insta should be favoured. However, in fact, it's Adren who gets the spray through the smoke to extend Gambit's advantage, leaving just Rixo and Lucky left. And Lucky will be hoping to get lucky for a kill here, because otherwise Gambit are almost certainly going to be winning this round. Looks like Lucky will work his way up in towards a ramp. He's a little bit by himself, considering his teammates in towards Palace, but as Dozier goes for the peek, he just kind of gifts a free kill back. And now this is possible for Tricked, even though the bomb's been spotted in towards a slope. They're going to continue to go for this push, and there's only really Fitch towards the site, so the bomb should be going down quite easily here. They don't quite have the smoke to hold off that position, so Rixo needs to land that shot, and he doesn't get the important kill. However, the bomb still goes down. This time, though, Rixo is not up to the 1-on-3. He won one in the previous round, but a second in a row is just too much to ask. So he will fall, and Gambit will keep us going at a 14-13 scoreline. However, Tricked themselves again just have so much money. That's what's going to make it difficult for Gambit at this point. They're going to have to play against full buys for the rest of regulation. And if Gambit lose this themselves, their money is going to be a little bit dodgy. So here we go again, another hugely important round. Every round just carries so much weight at this point. With only 3 rounds left in regulation, this one could still go either way. Especially now that Gambit have won that round and got themselves a proper bye together. Certainly feels like it's been a little bit of a sloppy game so far, I think it's fair to say. You know, both teams haven't exactly showed us their best, I don't think. But these are the kind of games where if you can squeeze out that win, that can really make a huge difference in the league at the end of the season. You know, if you can win even when you're not playing that well, then clearly you're going to have a pretty damn good time of things. Peak comes out and Rixo is so quick with that AWP. He takes down Adren early on, and that might just open things up for Tricked. You can see they've still got a minute left to work with, but they've used so many of their nades on towards A there. They have used all of their smokes already. And now as they go back towards the A site, this might be quite difficult for them to gain control unless they can frag out. And that's not looking possible right now because Fitch gets the first. But Console will eventually get into position for the trade. You can see they're kind of a bit questioning whether or not they can push through, but Rixo manages to sort of get himself in a strong position to hold that off and make sure that they can get the bomb towards the site safely. And as Console gets that kill towards CT spawn, already you can see the call from Gambit might just be to save what they can for the next round. And for what could be the last round, because Tricked will get themselves up to a 15-13 lead. That means they have 2 map points. Remember, this is a best of 2, and this first map was picked by Gambit here on Mirage. Nuke was picked by Tricked. That will be the second map if we need it. So here we go, round 29 could be the deciding round. Gambit do get to hang on to the 2 guns at the end there. So they have the AWP in the hands of Mo, but already you can see some sort of chinks in their buy. Some sort of cracks, if you like, with Fitch only having a CZ and some players lacking nades. Again, Tricked seem happy to sort of group up towards the start of the rounds, but Gambit fairly consistently have been smoking early on and slowing things down. More importantly, this round, Mo gets that opening kill towards mid, and again, Insta was all by himself there, which feels like a little bit of an oversight. But here we go, Tricked this time pull the trigger on the quick B play, but Dose has already got 1 and 2 kills on the hold. It's only Console left, and on the edge of the smoke, Mo will find him. Tricked will still have a bye into this round number 30, that's for sure. But we could be seeing overtime here. It looks like we are going to have a tactical timeout this time from Tricked, so they can discuss things through and make sure they don't make a mistake here in what could be the last round of this game. Certainly will be the last round of regulation, but will we be seeing overtime? That is the question on everyone's minds right now. You know, Tricked have been pretty tricky so far. I think they have lived up to their name in some of their plays. You know, mixing in some quick rounds with some slow rounds, but you can see at what cost that can cause sometimes, because it's not always possible on the quick rounds to be successful when the opponents are well lined up for it. And when there's 2 players towards B there, it's always going to be so hard. Either way, quick smoke's going out towards mid, so it looks like they might be going for a quick A play here, because again, they've thrown out so many of their nades early on. You would think they would have to commit, and already Insta again by himself towards mid. I have to feel like that's something that you can't do every single round. Insta is just being hung out to dry there over towards mid. No support from his team, and instead, Tricked now are forced to try and go for this A play. But already you can see the push isn't really all that convincing. They're slowing things down, they're stuck in no man's land, and that allows Mo the one kill before he falls. In the meantime, Fitch gets another kill from the site, and with only Rixo and Lucky being alive, it's not looking good for Tricked, as Lucky is the last man left, but Fitch finds the head and will bring us to overtime. And again, I think Tricked were making a few mistakes there towards the end that were really costing them. You know, I really don't want to see just one player trying to push out towards mid by himself. It's just not that likely to be successful when you've got Gambit fairly consistently trying to compete for mid control early on. And then that forced the rest of the Tricked team, it looked like sort of just kind of panicked and tried to go for the A play, but then kind of had second thoughts on it. And they just needed to commit to the call there of just trying to push towards the A site, because you saw them kind of get stuck in between. Either way, they can't be thinking about these things now, because instead Tricked will have to focus on these overtime rounds, where they will again start on the T side. And this time they don't have Insta by himself over towards mid. Instead, they are all focused on the A site. So that's something that is good to see. The entire team all being ready to commit together. Fitch himself might be thinking about some aggression through the smoke, but that would be ill-advised considering what is waiting for him on the other side. It is all 5 players from Tricked focused on a ramp. And here comes the peek from Fitch, but that's just so easy for Tricked to take him down. And now as the push comes towards the site, can Gambit rotate in time? The answer is they cannot, because Rixo finds them before they can get into position. 3 kills for him, easy as you like. Mo at least gets 1 back, but you have to feel that Gambit are going to be losing this round at this point. Mo and Hobbit look to save the double AWPs they invested in towards, I think. And again, Tricked, if they could have just pulled off that round one time in regulation, that would have been enough for them to take it over the edge and take the win in regulation. However, instead, they have to play for overtime now. And they will get the early lead, which is good to see. It's good to see they've kind of, I think, sort of started to realize the mistakes they were making in terms of just sending one player out towards mid by himself. Now, they really are leaving Insta with so much to do. There's actually Mo went down there, so that's one of the AWPs lost, and only Hobbit will be able to save the AWP for himself. He will throw it over to Mo. However, it looks like Gambit will only have the single AWP, and more importantly, again, this is 10k starting money in overtime, so if Gambit lose this round on the CT side, their economy is going to be shattered. Couple of nades early on from Gambit, making sure no play can come through quickly. Dozier himself, I think, just fired some shots through the wood, and actually they connected on towards Refresh, who takes a bit of damage. Nothing all that convincing though, as a couple of smokes come in towards B. Question is, will Tricked commit with the bomb there, because the bomb is currently leaning towards the B site, and I have no idea what this is from Tricked. Now they're going for a couple of players pushing over towards A. It seems like whatever it is, it's working, because as the smokes and flashes come towards the A site, Gambit are rotating off of B. Mo gets the 1 kill, thinking he shut down the push, but instead the push will come towards the B site. And look, he gets the all-important kill on towards Hobbit, who thought he might have had a few players lined up. But instead, it's Gambit who have been fooled, as they are forced to try and retake B. Here comes the peek. Mo spots out the head for the first kill. Still a lot more to do. But Gambit get the good start, and Mo flicks back around for a second kill before he falls. 2 versus 2, but Adren won't be happy with that for too long, because he gets that first kill, and now Refresh is so low on health, on just 14 points of health here. Fake defuse comes through, but instead, actually, they're just going to stick the bomb, because Dozier gets the kill, but oh no! Is there time? Oh my god, that was way closer than I was hoping for. Dozier himself had a defuse kit, and you would have liked to have seen him get on the bomb, but Adren still is able to get the defuse just in time. For a second though, you're a little bit nervy there if you're Gambit. You saw Dozier running away from the site just in case. However, it still works out for them. So 16-16. And of course, we are playing until the first team gets up to 19 rounds. Unless it ends 18-18, and then we would head to a second overtime until the teams could be split. The winner of this round will take the slight lead heading into the second half, and already Tricked will look to do that with a quick A play. However, Adren is there to get one kill before he falls. Push comes through, continuing towards the bomb site, and you can see the smokes are successful in denying the Gambit players' vision, as they aren't really able to deny the bomb, and more importantly, Fitch tries to go aggressive after the fact, and that doesn't work out. But instead, the other Gambit players are doing the job they need to by finding some frags. Here comes Hobbit, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't expect Insta to be so aggressive in towards ramp. Nade well placed from Dozier, does a bit of damage, but they still need to find the kills here. And the jump from Mo gets him the information, but there's no smoke for the bomb, so the Molotov will slow things down. Insta standing in the smoke might have done the job. He tries to get the kill. Is there enough time on the defuse? Again, Mo has it with a couple of seconds to spare. And Gambit, off the back of a couple of nervy rounds, managed to take the slight edge heading into the second half of overtime. 17-16 in their favour. Quick look at the scoreboard and you can see Mao leading the way with 31 frags. Meanwhile, on the Trick side, they've got two players up there at 30 kills. Lucky and Rixo, both with 30 frags of their own. But it's not been enough for them so far because they are down a round. Mo peeking out towards top mid with that good spawn. Before the smoke blooms, he decides to try and take a fight. But Tricked are having none of it. They are not focused on mid whatsoever. The only player somewhat close to that is Rixo, holding with the AWP towards B short. But even he is holding a very tight angle, and it's quite difficult to land that shot. So I'm not expecting too much in terms of contention for mid from Tricked. Gambits right now have left the bomb towards T-spawn, so they're certainly not going to be going for a push soon. At least you wouldn't think so, but already Hobbit's making his way up connector. Fitch peeking towards B short, could get this kill. Rixo so close with the AWP, always going to be struggling to get that shot. So Fitch opens things up over towards B, but the bomb is likely to go towards the A site, where there are currently 3 players positioned. But Adren already takes out 2 of them, as Insta himself is also going to be taken down. And Gambit are on the verge of being able to take this map win. 18-16, they themselves now are the ones with 2 map points. Tricked had the opportunity to close it out in 2 rounds in regulation. And now Gambit themselves have 2 chances to close it out here in overtime. So we do see Rixo with an AWP as well as Mo. Of course, Tricked can buy up pretty much everything here because they have to invest into this round and make sure they win right here, right now. Otherwise, they will lose this first map. Gambit taking this one slowly. But they have gone for some mid control. And this time Tricked seem to be fighting for it a little bit more aggressively with Insta in towards connector. Possibly trying to do so. However, not all that convincing about it as Hobbit finds him on the edge of the smoke. I think that might have even been through the smoke there as Hobbit goes aggressive in towards connector. And he is just going huge for his team right now. 2 opening kills, and that A site is looking incredibly vulnerable, as Lucky is the only player trying to hold things off. It's going to be a tough attempt as the nades come in towards him, although Tricked have actually got into some positions closer to the site. There's 1 kill for Console, and Lucky finds one of his own, so we're back down to a 3-on-3 as the bomb goes down. However, it is planted for mid, so they need to take down Hobbit here. Console has to win this fight. Hobbit misses the no-scope. This is such an awkward fight, but such an important one as Hobbit lands the no-scope the second time of asking. And now Lucky 1-on-3 just cannot win this. The flash goes in, but Mo with the other AWP secures the win. Gambit take the map 16-19 in their favour. But my god, was that closer than they would have hoped for it to have been. I think that's going to be me done for today, guys. There is going to be the second map coming up, so if you want to check that out, you can find, I'm sure, plenty of other streams for it, but I think I have to go do some other things in real life, unfortunately. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate the support as always. If you want to see more, you can always subscribe on YouTube or follow on Twitch. I always, not Twitch, Twitter. I always tweet out when I'm going to be streaming, so that's always an option. And other than that, yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you around some other time. Peace.